All right, man. Take two. First one went to shit. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Teacher Gay here with MVPLuka and officially Kiddmuse. We're about to do a little podcast here, man, talking about life after Luka. As y'all know, a couple of days ago was the final kind of connection Mavs fans or the city of Dallas could have with Luka, even though he still seems like he's going to be around when he does visit. But we just wanted to talk about everything that's led up to that moment and what we end up doing moving forward. So let's start off with the game, bro.
The game itself, obviously like the lead up to it. But like the game itself, Luka really came back and put 45, put 31 in the first half, and just put on a clinic. So it made it such the talking point. The next day it was like, of course, it was going to be like, what happened to, I can't believe they gave up Luka.
Yeah.
But that was so much more when he comes in and drops 45 and they get the win and the reception that he got from everybody.
An effortless 45 at that too.
Yeah.
It
was
was
like he tried.
I feel like I've seen a lot of special NBA moments going back to when I first started going to NBA games, late 90s, Kobe Shaq stuff in Southern California. Since then, I just feel like I've been to a lot of special games, seen a lot of special moments. I've never seen anything like that or really felt anything like that leading up to the game, at the game, with all the other stuff that happened, seeing Luka just go berserk. But, he wasn't, even though he looked a couple times, he wasn't really talking any shit.
Nah, at all. Like,
right? Because he's so humble, and he's such a good dude, and he's the humble king, Luka. And so, almost like he held back on purpose a little bit, you know?
Yeah, because, like, when I did my expectations and, like, wishes video, like, if you look back at it, some of my wishes interweave with what I expected. Mm-hmm. It was the coolest thing in a sense because I, for one, didn't think the crowd was going to do Fire Nico chants, like, right off the bat.
Yeah, not that quick.
And they went right off the bat. And I don't know, I would just say, first off, salute everybody in that arena.
Yeah,
the other day.
They stepped it up, man.
Yeah.
They
Give
showed
it
up with a purpose.
Give it up for the people that were in the arena because, there was games that I've been to where there wasn't very many other people that were vocal at the game, besides me and a few other people.
Yeah.
And so it was nice to organically see it happen and to see everybody do it because that's been the vision the whole time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I don't think it was more than a couple hundred people at a Mavs game before then. I think the most that I was a part of or that I remember hearing was way back the game against Miami Heat before the All-Star break.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe been that long since the Fire Nico chant was that loud in the arena. But that was just a couple hundred people. Yeah. So to see what it did and to see it organically happen, but I felt it pregame. I was on live and I was like, yo, it's hostile. That's the vibe. The vibe is hostile.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, when you forgot to bring the earbuds for the pregame show. Got it.
Yeah, when I forgot to bring the earbuds. There was a lot going on yesterday.
There was a Fire Nico chant that broke out before we made it through the metal detectors in the concourse. I didn't even grab my shit out of the bucket before the entire concourse. Damn. Over 100 people broke out with the Fire Nico chant.
Well, I will say that during Tim McMahon, when he was live on SportsCenter pregame out in the plaza, there may or may not have been a Fire Nico chant and a Fire Tim chant that broke out.
Featured on ESPN.
While he was talking to, was that Malika Andrews? Is that her name?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
He was talking to.
So it wasn't NBA Today, but it was.
They were like ESPN.
It was SportsCenter.
She's ESPN Today.
Yeah.
They're NBA Today.
NBA Today.
That's I don't want to plug them.
Well, we're on the subject since that was supposed to be one of the subjects. we just got straight to it.
That was the first thing we talked about was don't jump ahead subjects.
No, it's fine.
And then
it's
he
organic.
immediately brought up the Fire Nico chants.
And it was organic. It
unprovoked.
Is so the question I've been waiting to ask, because you said you were like, we're here, it's just all about Luka. And the very first thing that happens in the game is the Fire Nico goes off. And I've been telling people, this man has been leading the charge with the whole Fire Nico stuff, and all of you,
switch
gatekeepers and all these people
switches
on Twitter, and y'all were hating on this man for doing it. And then the moment that Luka shows up, like, no. We're on the same page as him.
Yep.
But you weren't the entire time. I don't know why I'm looking here. I need to look over there. But you weren't the entire time. And then when Luka shows up, now you want to be like Fire Nico. But when Luka's not here, you want to tell him to shut up. So it's just, for you, and you as well, because y'all been together this entire time, how vindicating was it?
I mean, it was great, dude. Like, I mean, it sucks because it's like we're being thrown under the bus, him especially more than me, for living it. You know, this isn't just a routine from 7:05 to 9:35 that we're living the Fire Nico thing. You know, we truly believe this, and it means a lot to us. You know, like we're not just during the game time Fire Nico, but on that one day that it's okay, like this. We're keeping the same energy no matter the situation.
Well, I would like to say that I was extremely proud of everybody because I made a point go into the game, and I said it to anybody that interviewed me game day, that I wanted it to be just a ton of love and affection on Luka and just him being celebrated, and that like that's where all my energy was going to be. I was not going to start any Fire Nico chants, and I will say, leading up to the game, I underestimated the Mavs fan base once again. Yeah. But this time in a good way. This time in a great way.
Props.
Because I see it on Twitter, and then I show up to the game, and sometimes I'm literally the only person trying to do a chant in my section. Yeah. And it's uncomfortable and awkward for me and some other people sometimes. And I just want to say, for those of you that have been in my section, I don't do it nonstop. I do it once or twice a quarter. I feel like 98% of the time, somewhere in that range, I'm cheering for the Mavs and enjoying the game.
More than most, I'll add, too.
Throwing up threes. Yeah, if you've been in my section, you see me every time the Mavs hit a three. I'm up. I'm celebrating. I'm cheering for the Mavs. Kind of hate watching a little bit as far as like the final score, I'll be honest. But love the players, cheering for the players, and then also taking opportunities to get off some Fire Nico stuff, sometimes loudly, sometimes in a way that was uncomfortable for some. But I'm proud of the fan base, and I'm just happy that they showed up, man.
I mean,
I didn't lead any. I participated in all of them, though. But there literally was a moment where I was there quiet, and I was looking around, and dare I say, I almost got teary-eyed.
Yeah.
Thinking about the revolution, bro, and thinking about the movement, and like, you know, obviously I'm the self-proclaimed folk hero, self-proclaimed leader of the revolution, and
the visionary.
Not anymore.
I mean,
the revolutionary.
I'm having a lot of fun with saying some of those things and those titles, and there's a little bit of subtle. I think it's obvious sarcasm in some of the stuff that I do that people just don't pick up on, and they just think it's deadpan all the time, and they're just. It goes way back to the Fire Mark Cuban stuff about like, hey, you know he's the owner, buddy. It's like, no shit, dude. That's why I said Fire Mark Cuban when he was the full owner. Because he is the owner, and I thought that was funny, like a little, I don't know, play on words is not.
It's a bit.
Well, play on words, it maybe doesn't describe it exactly, but I just always thought it was funny. I said it one time, and it triggered some dude, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he thought I was serious. Like, of course I know he's the owner, dumbass. And he was like visibly upset in front of his friend and two girls. And this was in December of 21.
Oh,
just to tell you, just to give you an idea of how long ago
the Fire Cuban stuff was going on. Yeah.
How long ago I was going to games and having fun. December of 21 was the first time I said Fire Mark Cuban, and I may have only said it one time in my life, and just been like, okay, I thought it was funny. Nobody would ever. If the dude behind me wouldn't have reacted, and he was almost showing off. He's like, looking at his friends like, hey, buddy, I'm pretty sure he's the owner. Like as if he's clowning me, right? And I was just like, no way.
Like, are you sure? Like,
and so I was like,
this news?
And I was like, oh my gosh, I thought it was funny, but it's funnier than I thought on a different level.
Yeah.
I got to say it again. So the next quiet free throw, mind you, I snuck down to like the fifth row with my cousin.
Yeah.
And we had been drinking and having some fun. And that's the first time that I did it. I did it again, and dude was like in his seat, like couldn't believe it. So, anyways, that's a snippet just to tell you how far back my love affair with the Mavericks goes, and Mavericks fans, and Mark Cuban and Jason Kidd. Because the same night, the Mavs, it was right around the time where they were 16 and 18 in December of 21. And Jason Kidd, it was the same night because we snuck down to the fifth row, and it was kind of by where the tunnel is where they were coming in. And that's the first time I was like, it's not good enough, coach. I need more. I need better. Now, I will say this, and Luka Doncic is my favorite player, and I love Luka. The same night, I also said that to Luka as he was walking off after Jason Kidd. I was like, it's not good enough, Luka. Okay. Mind you, though, this was December of 21.
Now you're going to blame him for getting rid of him.
When you could say that he was at maybe his heaviest that he was, and that he was playing his worst basketball in the 4 years that I've been out here going to Mavs games. So I would like to say that tough love like that is needed sometimes, and I think that I motivated and encouraged Luka in that moment in a different way. You know what I mean?
So I'd like to add in on that. So that's why I find basketball to be like the greatest sport, is because it's the only sport where fans are that close.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been always a part of it.
Yeah.
You know, heckling with the fans is part of it. It always has been. There's a reason why they're that close. It's meant to be very personal, like
Intimate.
a very intimate experience.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a reason why OKC gave that fan a parade for getting Luka thrown out.
True.
That's what every home fan base wants, or home team wants. They want their fans to go at the opposing players. But it's like when you do something wrong, you need to own that other side.
Mm-hmm.
Fans are, if they pay that kind of money to sit that close, they are within every right to say what they want to say within reason. You know, if you're not being vulgar, using profanity, you should not. A player should not, especially target him in PJ Washington.
Sit your
I felt
ass
like
down,
that
bro.
was a little unfair. He's like, he has every right to stand up.
I will also say this.
You know, like,
I think that you could have a reasonable conversation with me, and you might even be able to make a compelling argument that I've gone too far sometimes, and that maybe it has been overly uncomfortable.
Were you uncomfortable when PJ says, sit your ass down?
Not enough to do it a second time.
No.
Which one was more uncomfortable? The Mark Cuban telling you, the mouthing at you to sit the F down, or PJ telling you, shut your ass up, sit down, or something like that?
I don't know, man. Both
Sit
of
your
them.
ass down.
Yeah, sit your ass down.
I mean, he said it twice, right? Because it was 2 free throws back to back.
He missed both, right?
No. No, he missed one.
Oh, okay.
He made one.
You
and
gotta
he missed
make
one.
him if you're gonna talk
So-
shit.
A lot of people said, and just again, I love Luka. He's my favorite player.
We love PJ too. We love PJ.
I love PJ. Sometimes people need some tough love, and I think at the time Luka, and I was out on J Kidd after his first game as a Mavericks head coach, but we'll dig into that another episode. How I knew the day one when they got ran by 30 by the Hawks. Like, how do you get ran by 30 your first game out?
I think I should tell him the first experience.
Sorry, we're just.
I had when I went to a game with you, since you're talking about how you go crazy with these chants. What game was it? It was Toronto, right? Oh, yeah. So the first time I meet him, right, is at a Toronto Raptors game.
Was that the first time we met in person?
Yes, first time we met in person. And we did not, hey, like, you know, you normally hit me up, you got an extra ticket, I'll go sit with you. This one I was in the same section, but it was towards the end of the game, and seats opened up beside him. And so I went down there, met him for the first time, and then it gets to the end of the game, and like, they just got destroyed by the Raptors. You know, they had so much size. He does the most punchiest, loudest, disrespectful boo I ever heard in my life, bro. Like the whole arena got filled by that boo, and then I had
super awkward silence.
Yeah, I had secondhand embarrassment for a second. I was like, but knowing in my head, like, nah, this is good, but damn, I feel kind of bad, you know, because it was like a like, I hate you, boo.
Yeah.
Like, why y'all play like that, you know? And ever since then, I just knew. I was like, nah, yeah, and then that's kind of, I think, what spurred the whole pregame the Vibe Arena check and stuff like that. But
can I just give another disclaimer about myself and kind of where I'm coming from? Which
if they're watching this, they know who you are at this point.
Which
Everyone knows
is
who you are now,
no.
dude.
The reason I did fire Mark Cuban the first time that I did it, the reason I said anything to J Kidd the first time that I did, was that I honestly was like, damn, J Kidd's the coach and this is the roster, and like I was the first year I got there and had the first year I had season tickets, and I was just like beside myself, like, wow, I didn't quite realize, like, yo, and then people were like, yeah, they kind of did this to Dirk, is what a lot of people told me when I started meeting a bunch of Mavs fans. They were like, they kind of did this to Dirk his whole career, where they just never put the rosters around him to really give him the chance that he deserved. And something that I also see now, after seeing Luka blowing up how he is with these commercials and now being on the Lakers and just like the global stage, and how maybe you just have to agree that it was destiny for a man like Luka Doncic to end up on a team like the Los Angeles Lakers and get the platform that somebody like him deserves, because he wasn't getting it here. Not from the national media, and maybe the local media wasn't being loud enough.
Not by the Mavs social
Or they
media
just-
team.
Right? Like,
that's a great
so many
point.
things. But
That's a great
also
point.
that Dirk, and I think now I see it, Dirk will always be loved here, clearly. Maybe one of the most of.
Yeah.
In all of Dallas,
All of
really.
Dallas,
right?
Yeah. Ain't nobody
It
beating Dirk.
transcends all sports. It's
But the reason, and I love any time that they talk about the greatest debates and Dirk gets left out. I love the way the Dallas fan base backs Dirk so hard, bro. But the reason that he gets forgotten about, partly, is because the Dallas Mavericks didn't do enough for him.
specifically Mark Cuban,
Yes.
who made Dirk take
With
pay cuts year after year, and then not build a team around him.
And then didn't bring back the 2011 championship
And
team
then-
on a shortened season.
And then bitches about only making money 2 out of his 20
20
whatever
some, yeah.
years. Like, are
Mark
you
Cuban,
serious? How much money did you save from not giving Dirk? I
Right.
mean, like, come on, man. Miss me with that shit.
it's not our fault, Mark Cuban.
So
But-
I was convinced that they were wasting Luka's talent, and I didn't believe in J Kidd from day one. And then being like, wow, they did this to Dirk, and now Luka, and you know, no disrespect to the players, but you know, if we went over the roster they had, and they made a crazy run that year, but in December of 21, I was like, Luka wasn't given a whole lot of effort on certain nights, and the team looked awful, and J Kidd looked like he had no clue what he was doing with the team or the roster, and I was just like,
I mean,
beside myself, and was like, all right, it's time to get a little bit rowdy sometimes at little moments in the game.
But I get it, though. I mean, they traded for the corpse of Porzingis before Luka's rookie season was over. They leveraged their entire future before they even could build a team around him.
Yeah.
They consistently overshot, like, their putt,
Yeah.
you know? Like, they
Still
they
letting
tried
stuff
to go
develop.
all in his rookie year.
That was before I got out here.
Trading for an injured player with 2 first-round picks.
Oh, you said injured player? Oh.
Porzingis was
interesting.
hurt when they traded for him.
Apparently that's
See,
what
I wasn't here when Porzingis
Yeah.
got traded, so I
Apparently-
didn't know all the
The end
details.
of Luka's rookie season, they traded for Porzingis.
Apparently that's
Gave
what they do
up
here.
2 first-round picks. That the second one we just gave away. What? We finally
Year
get back
ago?
a year ago.
Yeah.
That was in Luka's rookie season. We made that trade. Set us back.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Just saying.
So he was injured. I just remember, again, before I got out here, but what just a crazy splash he had when he was with the Knicks, and how he just had, I was just seeing highlights, and everybody was just like, yo, this kid is crazy.
Yeah.
So, like, there was so much hype on his game for that, I don't know if it was a year, 2 years, whatever that 3 years,
It was about a 2-year stretch, 2.5.
where they
I
were
bet the
ready,
audience like, how the hell we got on a KP conversation?
they were ready to
I mean,
take a
it
swing.
stems from that, though. It really does.
Yeah.
And it also stems from
it's-
that game 81 where I believe 81 where Salah Mejri went off and had a career game. That was the reason we dropped from projected number 3 pick to 5,
And
which
we-
resulted in having to trade an extra pick to get Luka.
Actually, we had to lose out, and we would have been worse than Memphis.
Yeah.
But because Salah Mejri
deep.
wanted to have a great game,
Yep.
Then we ended up having a 3-way tie, and then we lost off of a coin flip.
Yep.
That's how we lost.
And
it could have been Luka and maybe Zion or Luka and Ja Morant.
Yep.
Now, hindsight 2020.
Because,
I don't know.
like I said, it all stems. It really stems from that. Because had they not traded for Porzingis, they kept trying to win when the ideal move was to keep tanking and get another top pick.
Yeah.
The following year.
Let them keep developing.
But they tried to go for it in Luka's rookie season.
Yeah.
I will say when they traded KP, that's a Luka moment that I'll remember my entire life because I was there with wifey and both kids, which we only do maybe a couple times a year, if that, where all 4 of us go together. But maybe like 2-3 times a year that we'll try to do that. Not this year, we didn't. But we didn't. once they traded Luka, bro, the kids were just like, "I'm good, Dad. I'm good on Mavs games. Luka's not on the team. Like, well, Kyrie got hurt. I'm good."
And then that's an element that people don't really talk about. Like the national media, when they talk about this trade and the impact, like they always think of it like X's and O's. Yeah. And I'm like, bro, there's a whole human element that they're never touching on. For example, a week prior to Luka getting traded, I saw a friend of mine get buried in a Luka Doncic jersey. And then I know of friends that have kids named Luka.
I almost named my son Luka.
Right. I have friends that have dogs named. I almost named my dog Luka during COVID. Named him Sylvester because he had that pointy white tail at the end of it. But like the entire city was fully bought in, and I don't think Nico or anybody in the national media or even local media understand that thing in totality, just the human element of it all, because you have a whole city that is connected to that one player, and the fact that they threw him away as if it didn't matter. That's just one of the sad parts about it.
I think what they failed to realize is how connectable Luka was. He spoke Spanish. He spoke so many languages. Like, he was so easily connectable with just about every demographic in Dallas area, I mean, we're one of the few cities, states that is more than 25% Spanish speaking, And
when he went to Mexico and said, "Viva Mexico way," like, my dad knew of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He's shocked. Like, most of the people in Dallas probably didn't really understand to that extent how many more fans he brought. And they're going to feel this forever.
Yeah.
They burned countries, not just a city. They burned countries.
Yeah, and that's something, too, with all the international fans that I've met that have gone to games. And they came to see Luka. But back to the night against the Clippers. KP got traded. We went to the game. It felt like a funeral. I actually tweeted it that day and was like, yo, it feels like a funeral. Like, KP got traded. They removed all the clappers. People were like, Dinwiddie and what? And at the time, people were like, what did they just do? Like, yeah, we know KP, but like, what did we get? Right? And obviously, I think Spencer proved his worth.
Agreed.
That year, and then the moves they got to be able to make. But Luka had, I want to say he had 31 at halftime. I'd like to look it up because he had 31 the other night. Yep. But he had 31. Both the kids fell asleep. And normally if we were at a game and both the kids fell asleep, because we sometimes will take the train, we took the train that night and it's like, yo, they fall asleep. Usually it's like, okay, we got to scoop them up at halftime and just go. Yeah. I looked at wifey and was like, yo, Luka's got 31 at the half against the Clippers. Like, I think we just deal with it. And she was like, yeah, I'm in. So God bless her. I love her so much. Yeah. And we stayed, and he ended up dropping 51 against the Clippers. And, like, people instantly got over the KP trade. Yeah. Literally. Like, there was no... It was just like, oh, well, okay, who are these new guys? We got Luka, bro.
You didn't see our frustration with KP. Like, it's so funny. People still make jokes to Brad Townsend in his replies asking if KP's playing. Because that was the running, like, legit, like, even when he was playing, people would ask if he was playing. like we were done with
AD.
We were done, man.
Do we need more fire? Or
he's the OG street clothes. I hate that.
He was.
I hate that. I love AD. I'm on the record. I love AD. On the record.
And I'll be on the record. I think
AD fan.
I think it's unfair for people to say AD didn't show up during the Luka game. I guess it's a great pivot to the Luka game.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of wrong for people to be like, oh, he didn't show up. And like, bro, he's playing through a freaking injury at the end of the day.
then if he's see,
I just don't want to say like, oh, he's trash. Like, all right, he's battling through an injury. At least acknowledge that, and then say, okay, he just didn't show. He didn't show what his potential.
I mean, today he almost had a quadruple double.
God.
So it hasn't even been 48 hours. So where was that effort 2 days ago? Like that's.
Is the Laker game on right now?
Yeah.
What time is it? Does anyone know what time it is?
Yeah, they're probably winning.
Do we know what the score is? Is Luka playing
Man,
right now?
we doing a podcast.
Wow,
Forget the damn game.
Knowing that they have Luka, they're probably winning.
Text.
Tell them, not them.
Somebody.
You can't even type in on that.
I didn't turn the chat on again.
You never turn the chat on.
You never turn it on.
No, I'll be trying to
like, I'm trying to find somebody, and I'm over here typing it in, and it just don't pop up.
He is technologically anemic.
He can't even say it.
We wasted 10 minutes him trying to use a second microphone.
Yeah. Trying to bring a lapel mic when we got a legit mic.
I don't deserve this. I'm a folk hero. Haven't you heard?
So, speaking of that, I do want to give him props. I was telling my wife, because you've seen all the slander online about him. I will say I took well over 15 selfies of people that came up and wanted pictures with him. Literally, as we were walking, like, people were stopping him walking through the concourse. Like, there was at least one person, I think we didn't even stop, but he just, like, came up and, like, selfied with Chris walking by. Like,
okay, I will say this.
I felt so happy for my guy. Dude.
Just like we're actually full circle to where we were at before we got on this 20-minute tangent, which was the Fire Nico chants. The Fire Nico chants, right? So, like, how I felt seeing the Fire Nico chants, and just like I'm quiet and almost tearing up, and just so proud that everybody else did it. You know what I mean? And then of course I also participated. But then all the people in the plaza, because we got to the plaza early. We were hanging out early and hanging out with Tim McMahon and some other people and getting down out there. And I got so much love, which I hadn't got in a while at games. And, like, it had just been a while since, like, somebody had come up and been like, yo, like, let me get some stickers. You know what I mean? And I just had a ton of people doing that.
He couldn't make it 5 minutes.
That's when I started to feel the hostility. And I was just like, oh, they're here for blood today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, the fans are here for blood today. And I said it on stream, and I was like, yo, it's hostile. That's the word I kept using. So shout out to the fans that showed me a bunch of love and came up and said hi to me, because
shout out to all y'all.
There were some dark days. There were some dark days after the PJ Washington incident, as some were calling it.
You know who thought it wasn't hostile enough? Mark Followill, apparently.
Yeah.
You heard that too, right?
Yep.
Like, I expected it to be like this, but it didn't meet my expectations. Something like that. Like,
it exceeded mine. Y'all exceeded my expectations.
I mean, I guess
by a mile.
He's already seen people
be
be assaulted in that arena, so I mean, he's accustomed to it at this point.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm a huge fan of Mark Followill. Shout out to Mark Followill. I'm gonna stop talking to this camera and start talking to this one.
Yeah, you're gonna talk up.
Yeah, man.
The Fire Nico.
That's behind the scenes of something that's released from now.
The Fire Nico chants.
You're not beating the clout chaser allegations.
So the thing that
made me feel good is what happened.
You deserved it, dude.
What a game.
So we're on playback and we're all reeling from the Luka tribute, which we'll get to that in here in a second. But I was on playback, obviously, watching it with everybody. And then LeBron gets the first tip, runs straight to the basket, is fouled. And immediately, Fire Nico. And I'm just sitting there beside me, and I'm listening, I'm like, oh, they're chanting it. First, I go to Twitter, like, all right, I give you a shout out. And it's like in a way, you taught that crowd how to chant Fire Nico and when to do it. Because that arena doesn't give you opportunities.
Dude, I didn't think about that, bro.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
I'm not going to cry. You're not going to make me cry.
So when that happened, I was like, they knew, because he's been saying it for a while. You chanted at the free throws because the Mavericks give you no opportunities to create any other kind of chant. Because they're always blasting music
constantly, even during game time.
Wow,
bro. Even during halftime, like I can't even hear myself. Like, going to Mavs games has become unenjoyable.
Yeah,
because I went to a 2004, 2005 Mavs versus Suns game when Nash was on the team.
Yep.
And I was in a Platinum Seas. My dad copped it for me, like, awesome. And that game feels completely different from these modern current games.
Yeah.
There's just so much noise, so much DJ, so much music. Like there's never a moment where
nonsense.
people could,
Just nonsense.
There's never a moment where people could be like, oh, let's do a chant.
Huh.
And instead, sometimes you'll get a wave like once a year, which is this soccer, but you know.
Like when you go to a Rangers game, they don't start any chants. The crowd does it themselves. You know, like that's how it should be. Let the crowd, like, I get the defense stuff and the let's go Mavs, but like the crowd knows what they're doing. They've been going to enough games long enough. You don't got to try to control them. Like, it's pointless. Yeah. They were getting what they were wanting. They were doing what they wanted to do last night. Mm-hmm. And I will say, that first Fire Nico chant, we were so in shock. It took us probably 5 seconds to join in.
Damn.
Like, because like we were fully prepared to not chant it.
Yeah.
You know, and then we were taken by surprise.
That was y'all's that was y'all's like, tribute video.
We were like looking around like, holy shit, everyone's doing it. Like, yes, all right, fire. Like, you know, like
I feel like that meme where that guy's crying. He's like, this shit means something. You know, like
we took it in, man. You know, it was cool to see.
That's actually, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about the fact that like, and I've been saying it, that like my timing at NBA games, and I'm saying I've been going to NBA games since like 98, 99. Don't do the math, but I've been getting rowdy.
Damn, Unk.
I've been getting rowdy at games for a minute, dude. Going way back to Lakers and Clippers games in Southern California. But like I almost it sounds so dumb to say, but like it's true. I feel like I can like feel the ebb and flow of the game as far as like when to say stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. And
can't. I wish.
Usually, Mark Cuban even said it, right? I don't like the word heckler. No. Okay? I don't like the word heckler because that's a guy that's just showing up to actually just purposely be an a-hole, and all he's doing is saying stuff like, "Oh, hey, Kyrie, you suck." You know what I'm saying? Or just like dumb, no thought, not original, doesn't make a lot of sense. Like just stupid, dumb stuff. That's like a heckler. Somebody that's just like belligerent and dumb. I like to think that some of the stuff that I say, and again, Mark Cuban called it, some of it was clever. I've been having fun at games going back to 98, 99. And so I know when the quiet moments are. I just can feel exactly when the timing is. And as you guys know, I have been doing open mic stand-up comedy for like the last 9 months. It had nothing to do with the Fire Nico stuff. It had nothing to do with the Fire Nico stuff. It's just something separate. I've been getting on stage. It's an ass kicking a lot of nights, but sometimes you could be funny and have some fun up there. And I'm just like, if my timing in comedy ever matched my timing at an NBA game, my timing at an NBA game should be studied. And it actually was. You guys just said it. It actually was. Where like, I know if you're trying to get some shit off, when to say it, when to do it, when the quiet moment's going to be. I've said it all along. I wish I didn't have to do it during Mavs free throws. You can do it during the opposing free throws, and we do it during the opposing free throws. It's just a much smaller window. Yep. You can maybe get one little Fire Nico off, and then...
You got about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Sometimes not even that, and even when you do it, by the time you're finishing anything, you're drowned out by the people that are, you know...
Sean Heath.
Noise.
Great PA announcer. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, but just like the crowd, as soon as they start to yell to distract the shooter...
Yeah.
So
your chance, so it falls on deaf ears.
It's not effective if you're doing it in small numbers during the opposing team's free throw. So if I'm going to do something that I do want it to be heard and I do want it to be effective, I hate it for PJ Washington and Najee Marshall and Derek Lively and all the guys that I did it during their free throws. And I just keep using the word collateral damage, which maybe is, again, ages me. I don't know how many people use that word anymore.
Damn, Monk.
Collateral damage happens. We're like...
But, by the way, if anything that you move on here, it'll vibrate through the mic. So, I know you've been moving this thing back and forth.
Okay, we're not moving anything.
Try to keep it light. That way, the audience don't get upset.
It's sad for the players and for the fans and for me. But that was clearly the most effective time. And that was always my defense, is I love the players. I wish I didn't have to do it. That's the most effective time to do it. And then people realized that, and I recognized that at the game.
Yeah.
Where I was looking around and I was like, yo, people finally are realizing in the first half, because it was good in the first half, it got loud in the second half.
Yep.
And part of that is people, they weren't doing it during Mavs free throws. Watch the broadcast back, and you're not hearing it very much during Mavs free throws in the first half.
At the end,
And the crowd at halftime was just like, damn, that motherfucker was right.
Yep.
You got to do it during PJ's free throws. It's literally the only way that we're really going to be heard tonight.
Yeah.
And that's 18,000 people that all agreed, we got to do it during PJ's free throws, guys. I don't know what else we're going to do.
Bro, when I saw it happen during PJ's free throws, I was dying.
I feel like that was the loudest chant too.
Yeah.
But I'd also like to add in that fan is short for fanatic. So like, if you consider yourself a fan, you're this isn't out of the norm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is relatively normal behavior to be going to games, yelling stuff at players, yelling stuff at whoever, you know, like that's part of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's part of what makes professional sports and especially the NBA great.
What did Klay Thompson say? Right? And Klay Thompson, probably going back to like Lakers games, Southern California, he knows the vibe, sports out in Southern California. And he was like, yeah, that's part of going to the game. Like, there's always like a couple fans that are a little bit rowdy and a little bit fun, and like you get to yell stuff and have fun and kind of interact, and like,
well, he ain't been getting free throws anyways.
It's part of the fan experience.
Yeah.
And like, I always, I guess, connected with the fan, or thought the fan was cool, that would do some stuff that was really good timing, and it was clever and funny, and sometimes could get a laugh from the players, but was like not usually like what I would consider heckling
or disrespectful. You know, it's within the game, and it like, if y'all want to be quiet, not cheer, and you know, like, just sit down, stay at home, man.
Yep.
Like, we don't pay good money to act like we're sitting on our couch. I go to the game so I can be loud, so where my wife's not telling me to shut up. You know, like, I want to be able to yell at the game. Like, that's we're encouraged to yell until it doesn't benefit them.
I mean, it is the North Korean Mavericks of Dallas.
Yeah, it really is.
I've got to know that.
I will also say that the games that I remember going to as a kid was where like fans were having fun and getting a little edgy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Doing a little shit talking, but like,
You remember it.
usually those are the games that I remember, and those are the games I'm like, man, like, okay, those dudes were crazy, those dudes were having fun. But like, it's different. Like, when I see fans that are like actually like heckling and are just like saying dumb stuff like you suck, and like actually saying stuff, whatever people say that gets a player to react. Like, yo, they said some foul shit. I don't even know what people say, if they're talking about their family or like what people are saying to actually get fans to react up close, where like it's personal. Dude, I'm not getting personal ever with a player.
Remember that one fan when Katie was coming through? Katie, you a bitch.
Yeah, and then how about my podcast?
Yeah, but you know, apparently saying Fire Nico's a bad thing when that should have been universal. Like,
but I understand. There were times where I did it so loud, just like you talked about the boo that time when they got ran off the court by a terrible Toronto team and showed no heart and no life. J-Kid made zero adjustments. They just showed zero effort, and they were doing bad at that part of the season. And so I booed at the end of the game. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you got Luka on the team, and this is what y'all are putting out on the court? That was when they were struggling before they went on, again, a crazy run. And you could say that after that, after the disrespectful boo, you could make an argument that they played better after that. Yeah. I'm not saying it was me.
I mean, fans reacting like that means something. Yeah. Like, you see it in football. Like, no one ever gives shit to the football crowd. Like, football teams in their home stadiums get booed off the field every week. Every single week. You know what I'm saying? Like, so why is it all of a sudden a problem? Like, I just don't understand where we've decided to make basketball completely different than what it was. Like,
I will say this, under normal circumstances, if the Luka trade didn't happen and I was doing that stuff and there was nobody else that felt a Fire Nico, right?
I mean, you would have been the oddball out.
And like
Nico was doing a great job.
He apologized to Nico at the OKC game last year.
That is a fun fact.
Like,
so if we're
it's
ever
crazy.
doing a giveaway and there's trivia, game 1 against OKC last year in the second round, the Mavs were balling, right? They went like 14-2 to end the year, whatever it was. They were going crazy. Game 1 is when it was, and we were right by the tunnel. We got there super early when the doors opened, and Nico was coming up through the tunnel, and he snuck up on me just like he did the other night when I was just like, oh my gosh, it's Nico. And I just blurted out and was like, I'm sorry, Nico, I take it all back. And he was, going like under the tunnel, but then it opened back up again. I was looking this way, waiting for him to come through the tunnel, and I hear people yelling behind me, don't realize it, and by the time I turn around, they said this fool stopped in the tunnel when I apologized to him and came back. But I'm over here looking this way, and then by the time I turned back, but anyways, he clearly heard me and came back because he wanted to get his flowers from me, bro.
No, he was about to tell you, hold your apology.
Yeah, for real, yeah.
Keep your apology.
Just wait.
Yeah,
just wait.
Just you wait, bro.
And so less than a year later,
Yep.
and we're in there doing the Fire Nico.
Yeah, we're a couple weeks year to the date.
Yeah. What you gonna call it? What did you chant during the Luka tribute video?
It was just Luka.
Wait, were there any chants during it?
No, there was no chants during the video.
Before
That's
and
my
after.
pivot to the Luka tribute video.
Before and after there was Luka chants.
Yeah, it
which
was. You could hear a pin drop during that video.
Really?
It was dead silent. Like there were some moments in the video where like you'd hear people like cheer, but it was dead silent.
I mean, I guess you're right.
In every
Everybody was
direction you
frozen.
look, there was probably someone crying. Like
Did y'all see him cry, or was it until later on in the game y'all saw him?
I could see him crying from right there. You could see him watching his, like, I was panning to the video and then looking back down at him because we were in the 200s. We were front row, basically second row in the 200s, right behind the Lakers bench. Like, if I threw a rock straight, I would have hit Luka in the back of the head. Like, we were directly behind him, basically.
I don't think I could throw a rock that far. I don't know.
Yeah, damn, huh?
I'm just saying, like, it wasn't like.
You can get some arm strength.
No, but he was.
It wasn't.
Like,
we weren't close enough that I think if like.
They wouldn't hear us, but we could like he was in direct line sight, like we could see him the whole time. Like,
but y'all didn't see the
thing.
visuals we saw at home.
No,
y'all didn't see that.
I saw him, and
I could see him leaning his head over because
Yeah.
I was looking at the back of his head.
Okay,
and that's when you realized, oh, okay, like I saw he was by himself, but maybe kind of didn't put it together in the video, and then you look down and it's like, oh. He's on the bench by himself, and they're really giving him some space. And then
you see cameras in his face,
and then you see his head go down, and you're like, even from behind, from the distance, you're like, he's clearly getting emotional right now. Like you can see that he's getting emotional, and he's putting his hands like this or whatever. And that was the moment that I think everybody else in the arena that cried. Like I'll tell you straight up, dude, that was the moment where I started crying.
Yeah,
I started crying a little bit, and now you're seeing videos, and dang it, my live ended, and I don't think I can clip it. I can't find.
Someone called him. He was so mad.
I can't. It's like, dude, you know that I'm either at the game or I'm watching the game. Why would you call me?
Do you know this thing called Do Not Disturb?
So I'd like to add in this point for the video. So the entire moment leading up to that entire time leading up to that specific moment, I'd say the mood was sad and somber. By the end of that video, it was hostile.
Damn.
Like so people were seeing and getting sad and then getting mad over what they had and what they lost. Is I think you could, like, the tears turned into bald fists. You know what I'm saying? Like people were pissed. Like. And they saw him crying more. It was just each thing compounded, like it was just anger filled. Yeah, like they were ready.
Yeah, like so I'll give you a perspective from watching it on playback at home and reacting to it. Like, so they start the tribute video. immediately you see him ask for the towel. Like from y'all being watching from behind, y'all didn't see him, but he asked the guy for the towel, so he gets the towel, and like immediately you start seeing his eyes get watery, and I'm like, oh, bro, he's tearing up, like, and I'm live reacting to playback, and then once I saw the lip quiver, that's when it fucked me up.
Yeah, same here.
I was like, oh, like that was tough, man, because it's like, what, 2 months led up to that moment, and I'm pretty sure he's still in disbelief just as much as we all are, and yet we all had to deal with this reality that the future we thought we had with him is just went up in the air, and it's just gone in a blink of an eye because of two dumbasses that took over a certain job and thought they knew better than what the culture was, when the culture that Dirk built and handed off to Luka gave him the baton. And then they just sent the entire culture and baton to L.A.
Threw it in the fire.
They gave our culture to L.A. for nothing.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say one more thing before I let you take off, Chris. I think the part about the video that fucked me up the most was it was during where they were showing the Western Conference Finals and then the locker room shot. You see, at that point he had already wiped his tears and he took a second, and then he looked back up. And he was watching that, and then he saw it was the point where Jason Kidd, fuck that motherfucker.
I don't know why he was in the video too.
and says, "Luka, lead us off," or whatever he says, and Luka goes, "Mavs on 3." And him being his quiet, like very reserved, give you the little bit like you can. He's so happy, and he sees it, and his head just like drops, like you could just see like. At that point, he thought they were all behind him, but the whole time, they were plotting this from that that moment. Yeah, like from that moment on, they never looked at him the same. Game 1 of the final, like it's like they forgot everything he just brought them to, and it crushed him. Yeah. Like he saw the betrayal on screen, and the biggest screen in Dallas. Like it's disgusting, man.
So you want to talk about Unk? Right, I started watching. I started going to games in late '90s. I've been watching NBA since the late '80s. I've been paying attention to sports since the late '80s. I've never seen. I don't think. Again, people keep saying there's no comps, right? To this trade. Show me a trade like this in professional sports, unless you want to go back and be like Jason Kidd and talk about Babe Ruth. Right? If you want to use that one, we've all said it. We didn't know that you were gonna say it.
Yeah, and then he said it was pretty cool. Gosh, like, no, it's not. It's actually not cool at all. Like,
imagine saying
jackass.
that. Imagine saying that. Imagine being like, it's you compared it to Babe Ruth.
It's kind of cool, right? No,
kinda cool. I mean, Babe Ruth is pretty historic. This is pretty historic. Yeah, historic for being the worst decision that a professional franchise has ever made.
Jason Kidd says things that just blow my mind, of like the level of not being able to read the room. Like, it's just a Jason Kidd thing that he does, man.
No, he just I do it sometimes too, though, where I'll just start rambling, and then like it's happened a couple times tonight already, where just like it stops making sense, dude, and like it's just topic to topic. Jason Kidd says some stuff that just doesn't make sense sometimes, and like. The reporters are just like dumbfounded. So like, instead of being like asking a follow-up question, like, yo, you literally didn't answer anything that I just said, and he just rambled on about some nonsense.
That's what he does, man. That's what he does. Well,
historic though. Historic. You've never seen a trade like that. You've never seen a player return like that.
Wasn't it cool though? Like Bobby Carella and Jason Kidd proclaimed. It was pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
like, such a cool trade.
Like one day there's gonna be a super cool documentary about it. It's apparently gonna, win some Emmys.
Well, I think it's crazy to be smack dab in the middle of the biggest, wildest trade.
I just wouldn't describe it as cool
in sports history.
This isn't part of history I want to be a part of. I don't want to be a part of this kind of history.
No.
Well, okay, like I've been saying from day one. A lot of people accuse me of doing stuff for attention, and I'm like, I don't do it for attention, but some of the stuff does get attention. And when I get the attention, it's okay to enjoy it.
Yeah,
like
who wouldn't?
Why?
Like, come on, man.
Be like, no, that sounds like really fun and exciting.
It is.
Things to be a part of. No, I don't want to be a part of that.
But it's not cool when you get it. It's cool when people that have the following that would get your attention. They would be cool with it. But the reason you get it, because you're like this guy that
people
came out of
don't
nowhere.
respect the way I get it.
Yeah,
is what it is.
But I think it's just so polarizing.
People don't respect the way I get it. They think that
it's
just
the
a cheap,
gatekeeping on
it's just a
mass
cheap,
Twitter, bro.
Look at me, look at me, look at me. And it's like,
have you ever run into any, like on mass Twitter? Have you ever run into any of the guys that have, how would I say, been so heavily against you on Twitter?
Condescending?
Yeah. Has Mass Film Room ever been on you ever run into him before?
no,
Hell no.
Nope.
no.
All right, so
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Look, I'm gonna say this now. Mass Twitter tournament, right? You weren't there, but
I
I
couldn't
was.
make it, bro. We had some family obligations.
Anyway,
no. Hold on. Let's talk
No,
about
no,
this.
no,
really
hold
quick.
on. Let me get to my point.
If you would have had me on your team, we win the chip. But okay.
All right,
come on.
whatever. Anyway,
6-man.
anyway.
Alex Caruso looking ass.
So
Church League.
So I was there, right? And you know me, I could be a hothead too on mass Twitter and stir a lot of shit, even though I've stopped. But I was a shit stirrer because I was very opinionated with how I felt about things. But there's a certain conglomerate of people that
The Mavs Twitter conglomerate.
the mass Twitter gatekeeping conglomerate
The gatekeepers.
that only want you to have the opinion that makes them all feel good about.
That they have that day.
Yeah. And so whenever I have something completely opposing, I would never get any direct shots. Everything was subliminal.
Uh-huh.
I saw a bunch of subliminal tweets throughout my
Yep.
tenure on Mass Twitter. And then I seen a couple of them at the Mass Twitter tournament.
Mhm.
And when they saw me, guess what they did? Oh, what's up, man? What's up? Oh, bro. I was like, oh,
Love your stuff, man.
It's cool, and I genuinely was happy with it. I always say this: if you like me on social media, you're gonna love me in person.
Mhm.
And for the most part, they probably dislike me and somewhat like me because they followed me. They
Slogan.
paid enough attention to me to follow me or whatever.
Mhm.
But it's like, if you harbored all these feelings whenever we left Mass Twitter tournament later on in the day, like, I know you harbored that during that day. Like, why don't you say nothing then?
Yeah,
You know?
I find it funny because once you speak of this, one of these accounts, after me and Chris were thrown out during that Sacramento game for that first time chanting Fire Nico, MFL Nation did a 20-minute phone interview with me
Oh shit!
and wanted to hear all my side because it was the cool thing. Everyone was interviewing us. Never put out the article.
Oh damn!
And then still continues to post condescending stuff about him.
Yeah.
So when you thought it was cool to write about us then, like now it's just such fair weather bullshit, man. I can't, like, pick a side. Are you with us? Are you against us? Who are you with? Like, I don't, if you're for the Mavs, like I told Marcel, Mavs Digest, like, if you want to just do Mavs stuff, I'm fine with that. I get it. If that's what you want to stick with, you don't want to do the drama, that's fine. But if you're gonna play sides when it works in your favor, you gotta pick a fucking side.
Yep.
And it's the time is now.
I'll say this.
No more waiting.
I also understand that sometimes my behavior might be looked on as aggressive at times. You know what I'm saying? And maybe a little bit abrasive, and not everybody rocks with that type of energy. I get it. Not everybody's for everybody. Not everybody's gonna like me.
That's
not
fine.
everybody's gonna like you. So like I understand to a certain extent. Like, you don't necessarily. It's not like we got to be best friends and you should be retweeting me and tagging me and everything.
There's
but
this thing called the mute or block button.
Yeah.
They don't gotta quote to your stuff every time to try to get engagement off of your views.
But just like the passive aggressive eye roll, it's really just one fan type of like bullshit. Where like,
it's not.
Here's what you don't see me doing though.
Oh.
You don't see me going in their comments and talking shit and going back and forth with people and be like, yo, I heard you fucking said some shit on your podcast about like that you didn't like whatever. I never go out. You'll never see me on Twitter going after these dudes like that. Like, even people that I know were talking shit or whatever, like,
For real.
aren't down with the movement. I'm just like, all right, whatever. Even when people talk shit, like, negatively or whatever, I'm just like, you're not wrong. That's
That's
pretty funny.
He's speaking straight facts, man. He just treats it so humbly. He'll quote tweet him and be like, "Thanks for the support." Well, I'm over it like, and that shit rubs me the wrong way because I know how much of a good guy he truly is.
I'm not attacking people.
Like,
I'm not going after people. I'm not trying to have any beef with anybody.
I got the beef.
But like at a certain point,
I don't mind it either.
At a certain point, and look, a lot of these dudes I just either don't follow or they have me blocked.
Yep.
And so I then block them just in case they ever unblocked me, and I'd be like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I've blocked a bunch of dudes that I'm just like, okay, there's a list of dudes that I know that just don't fuck with me. But like, it got to a point where it's like, okay, these guys are going out of their way to not mention me, to like not, like, to a point where it was like, okay, bro, you're trying too hard now. I'm not saying like, oh, yo, you got to have me on the show.
Shout out Locked On Mavs.
And you should be having articles about me. But like at the same time, when you're on your show and somebody sends me a clip, and there's actually one of the times it was Nick, Locked On Mavs, where it was one of the first games back, and I had this hoodie on, and I think maybe I had this hat, maybe the first game, maybe it was the Miami Heat game right before the All-Star break, and I stood up and did a Fire Nico by myself again, and somebody got a picture of me and posted it, and then or maybe it was him or somebody else, but he basically retweeted it and was like, isn't this the same guy that or whatever? And it's like, just to be like, to play dumb and to pretend like you don't know who I am and you don't know what account I am. And like, it's just clear, bro, you don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, at some point, I was just like, all right, dude, if I'm seeing somebody, like, I'm not trying to get in any physical altercations. I don't take the shit that serious, bro. Like, I'm not trying to fight anybody, dude. But like, at the same time, when I saw Nick, I was giving him shit a little bit, and like, I don't rock with Tim McMahon, so like, when I see him, I'm gonna give him shit as well.
Gotta keep that, dude. Like, pick a side and stick with it, man. If you wanna make these posts, stay on that side.
Yeah.
Well,
like, I got no problem. Like, if you wanna make a rant about you and go off and talk shit about you, you're fine with that. I'm like, we all get it. You're not gonna rub people the wrong way. But stay on that fucking side. Don't pop over and be like, okay, today it's Fire Nico Day, ha ha ha.
But here's why,
and then go back to the next day talking shit on him.
And here's why they do it though. Like, you gotta think of it. So when Luka was here, everyone's channels, pages, following was growing and growing and growing. It was. He leaves, and now people stop watching games. Mavs Twitter was literally dead during Mavs games. No one was tweeting about the games. And what does that impact? It impacts their engagement, their potential revenue, because a lot of these bigger Mavs pages, they have, 20 and 50 and 100,000 followers. There's, I don't know which one it is, Mavs Fan for Life or whichever one it is. They have 100,000 followers and probably tons of people subscribing to them.
He's putting in like 180 now, I think, bro.
And so imagine
putting in work.
Imagine what happened to their.
Gotta respect the hustle a little bit. I mean,
imagine what happened to their pages.
Content.
When he steals content, though,
but imagine what happened to their pages when Luka got traded. If they're trying to save their base, and so if they could save their base by stopping you, who is trying to revolt against that organization that eventually will revolt against those pages, why would they say that what you're doing is good and noble when they're trying to protect their pockets?
So I think the best way to go about it is how Mavs went about it. He did not mention him at all. He doesn't bring it up. I spoke to him. He told me, like, he didn't agree with everything he does, but he can respect that he's a diehard fan and he sticks with his thing. Mavs
is one of the best.
Shout out. Like,
Mavs is one of the best Mavs-centric pages.
Like,
He's one
I
of the
said,
best ones.
if you don't rock with the dude, that's fine. If you don't want to get to know him, cool. That's on you. But you just... You can't pick and choose when you want to support what he does.
Yeah, if you don't want to go to a Mavs game with me and have the greatest night of your life, fine. Like, that's, you know what I mean? That's on you, bro.
Like,
but Mavs Muse is one of the very few that is like... He's the one that won the Mavs Twitter tournament.
We were actually... I want to say we were on Midnight Madness together.
Yeah, we're.
When he put together that I was the Fire whatever guy.
Yeah.
This was back when it was the Fire
Fire Jason Kidd.
Jason Kidd. Which I'm still proud of that revolution too. Okay.
Yeah, but you did apologize. You apologize for that one as well.
No. Guess what? The revolution lives. Oh. Tell me the Fire Jason Kidd revolution doesn't also have some steam now.
So hold on,
they're different revolutions.
I'd like to add in
we want to save that. Yeah.
I'd like to add in a little funny bit about that. So the first time I met him, actually, it was a Warriors game last year. And it was during the big Fire Jason Kidd thing, and I had just made the Kiddmuse account after Vengeance Wood. Shout out, made the StatMuse picture, and I knew the potential.
Yeah.
I told him I was coming to the game, and he's like, "Oh, what section you in?" And I told him, and he's like, "Oh shit, that's my section." Like, no fucking way. I was like, "What row are you in?" He told me, and then the row I bought was right behind his. I was like, "Get the fuck out of here!
Yeah.
What seat are you in?" He was in the seats right in front of me.
No way.
Like no bullshit. Like, and I was like, "No fucking way!" And I was like, "I bet." I was like, "I'm making you."
To be.
I'm a glass blower, so I made him a glass pendant that said Fire Nico, and I was like, "I know what I'm exactly bringing you." I was like, "I know this moment," and then ever since then, man, it's just. We hit it off, so it's like kind of that destiny moment. Like,
oh, you know what? I was talking shit. I was talking shit after the game the other night about I've known this guy and he's a glass blower and all he gave me was some shitty little shot glass.
You got a pendant too.
And he's talking about these pieces. I forgot about it. I think I know where it's at too.
That was yep.
I think.
You know, it is kind of crazy though. Like, so when I first met Chris, like I was at the game, right? And so we're all on Twitter. We all started on Twitter, right? Got to kind of know each other through there.
All my friends are from Twitter.
But it's kind of crazy looking at it now. It's like
that's pretty sad.
Like who would have thought a year later, like we're all intertwined in this entire debacle that the Mavs were at, and y'all are like headlining so many headlines. Like I know I'm not a part of it, but the fact that I'm able to say like, nah, I've been rocking with them guys since day one when everyone else was against them the entire fucking time. And so, you know, it's kind of cool to look back at it and be like, well, before Chris even blew up the way that he is now, we were doing Vibes Report on my little pregame show that no one wanted to support, you know? So it's just kind of dope, like full circle when you look at it in that perspective.
Yeah, no, for real.
It really is. It really is. To see it all culminate with the Fire Nico stuff and everybody else doing it. I honestly haven't been bitter about it. I appreciate y'all having my back and being like, yo, where were you? And like, MVPLuka was holding it down. I certainly appreciate that, but like, I don't really have that energy for anybody where I'm just like, yeah, what now? I'm just happy that I was just happy to see it. I was happy to see it unfold. Because believe it or not, I'm so dumb and so naive that 2 years ago, my gullible ass, I really thought I was going to get people to chant Fire Jason Kidd with me 2 years ago. Bro, I went on this crazy rampage where I was like, it's Fire Jason Kidd Day. It's National Fire Jason Kidd Day. I actually got blocked, I think, by
I think when Luka blocked you, right?
No. No. That was later. That was after the Tim that was after the Tim McMahon game. Where I booed them off. Okay, damn it, we were off.
No, we're
you booed him every time.
No.
Callback.
The night that he got into it with Tim McMahon is the only time that he ever acknowledged
Write some positive
shit.
Yeah, but guess what?
I'm just asking a question.
Hey,
I'm giving you a fucking answer.
Another
Boss coach.
Another fun fact, which ties me in with Tim McMahon, is at the end of that game, I booed like I did when the night I met you. I booed them off the court, disrespectful, and that was one of the only times that Luka looked up at me and shook his head, and he had this look on his face like he was absolutely disgusted. Okay, then he got into it with Tim McMahon. Then I went on Twitter, and all I said, and it was one of my tweets back then that kind of got a little bit of traction, and it wasn't until that night, because I used to go on his page and see all this stuff. It wasn't until after I put that post that kind of got a little bit of steam where I said, Luka needs to stop being a bitch-ass complainer all the time and just play better basketball, and they need to give more effort, and, like, that shit ain't good enough, bro. Like, And so I could understand if him or one of his handlers came across that tweet and ended up in somebody's timeline with a burner somehow and was just like, okay, with it, like blocking this dude. But it's not like I ever got in his comments and said anything crazy, dude.
Yeah. You're
Guess what?
The movie about you's gonna be like, and then I went on Twitter.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Was it not after that game that he dropped 73 against the Hawks?
No, it was when he kicked out the fan out of the arena. Remember when Luka had an issue with a fan and
that's been refuted as not true.
Or they said that he didn't get him kicked out, but the ushers came up to him and told him, "Hey, you gotta leave." And so it was after that game.
Yeah.
And so
Who did Luka score 73 against?
Hawks.
Atlanta.
Okay.
In Atlanta.
The game before. See, this is where it would be cool if we had somebody on a keyboard right now that was looking stuff up, like when you see real professional legit shows and stuff. And they're
Unc, we ain't doing that.
we freestyling today.
People could look stuff up. Anyways, I'm pretty sure the game after the incident where I got blocked, he argued with Tim McMahon. The next game was against Atlanta, wasn't it?
I'm guessing so.
73.
It might have been. Because,
within the next cop, because I know right around that time was the Markieff Morris has the locker room talk. And then everyone was like, wait, what? Wait, who?
And we traded him too, man. Damn, man. We traded our locker room leader.
Yep.
If I don't boo him off and him look at me like this motherfucker, does he snap back at Tim McMahon? Does he drop 73 against Atlanta? I don't know. You tell me.
Well, let's pivot to our last.
Let's keep talking about this, dude.
No, we got one more topic.
It's early, man. We're just getting started, guys. It's early.
I don't know if I'm getting started.
We're here for the long haul.
they can keep going.
We're here for a good time, not a long time.
The mural, bro.
Yep.
Let's get into the mural.
Yep. Let's get into the mural.
Did we skip some stuff, dude?
No,
I feel like we got to go back to my childhood.
We covered.
I know. I feel like we got to go back to my childhood.
Your childhood. We're not about to go back to your childhood. We got through the Luka game.
As a young boy in 1976.
We got through the Luka game.
1988, actually.
Luka crying. We've only gotten through 2 topics and then
Dodgers,
partial third one.
Padres,
We already talked about Fire Nico and Luka game, Luka crying. The next thing is the mural. And
I cried.
Your news that you want to break.
Yeah, let's move into the
The
mural.
Fire
Plug
Nico mural.
the
Which,
homie,
again,
plug the homies on the mural.
I want to say this.
There's your camera.
Let's have a conversation.
Not this camera, that camera.
Let's have a conversation. I feel bad for my man Juan Velasquez a little bit, the guy that did the Fire Nico mural, because it would have got more shine, I think, had it not been me that it came from. Because local media, which essentially I felt like blackballed me a little bit through this entire ordeal.
Via the Mavs.
105.3, 96.7, certainly Mavs content creators and Mavs Twitter, a bunch of the fan base that maybe didn't.
Hey, don't let me in that shit. No, I'm playing.
didn't rock with me, so they purposely didn't cover. Honestly, my stuff with Nico, my stuff with PJ Washington, all of that stuff got suppressed by the local media here and not covered, and nobody reached out to me on purpose. So when I was talking to Tim Cato in the plaza 2 days ago, and when I was talking to Nick at the game, and any beef that I have with any local Dallas sports media, besides Tim McMahon, he's his own thing, but for everybody else, it's people that made it clear, whether it was through passive-aggressive stuff or other stuff, that they didn't rock with me and they didn't like me and they don't like me, and they're purposely not going to ever reach out to me, even if I got 5 feet away from Nico and did a video. They still not going to talk to me, bro. That's on purpose. That's deliberate. So once it got that far and it's okay, y'all really don't rock with me, I'm not going to hold my tongue as much. And if I see Tim Cato, I wasn't aggressive with Tim Cato, but I just made what I think was a compelling argument.
It became personal.
No, I told him that DLLS and those guys purposely didn't cover my stuff. And that's probably has to do with how aggressive I was with Bobby Carella and Tim Cato at the protest, where I was just yo, Dallas media is a part of the problem. Yep. I've been calling that shit since way back. I was at the protest getting damn near belligerent, dare I say, when we first got there and got everybody going crazy, where I was like, yo, Dallas media, you know who you are. And the only Dallas media that were standing there 10 feet away 15 feet away was Bobby Carella and Tim Cato. So, and I was like, you know who you are.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Which is like the soft ass, fake ass Dallas, specifically Mavs sports media that created an environment where they wouldn't say shit about anything, nothing that's even a little bit controversial. Like, we're just going to toe the line. We're just doing positive stories on Dwight Powell.
Company mouthpiece.
Going to kids' hospitals, bro. God bless him and the squad that they used to have back then, bro. But
oh my God, look what Dirk did 20 years ago.
You get what I'm saying? But, like, okay. And like, some of it goes back to the Fire Jason Kidd stuff, where it's like when people connect the dots and it's like, oh, that was a dude doing that. Oh, he's clearly just doing this for attention. Yeah. When, again, I was doing it because I thought they were wasting Luka's talent.
They were under 500.
I was doing it because I like to have a lot of fun at NBA games. I was doing it because I come from a background in Southern California where fun, ridiculous, sometimes pushing the limits, but just keeping it cool type of fan behavior, like that's just how I'm built.
It's part of it.
And that's just what I get down with. And the Dallas culture here doesn't vibe with that. Nope. In a way that kind of shocked me a little bit and like still surprised me even through this Fire Nico stuff, where it's like, yo, like they just really about like, don't rock the boat, just show up and enjoy the game. Nobody wants to hear yes yelling Fire Nico. Yeah. Shut up. You're ruining our experience at the game. That's literally what people were telling me. Shut up. We don't want to hear it. But most of that was on Twitter.
Yep.
I did not get that at the games in person. And maybe you could say, okay, people are non-confrontational or whatever, but like, it was literally people dapping me up all the time, being like, yo, we support you. And sometimes kind of on the DL where they're like, hey, bro, keep it up. Almost like they're whispering. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, we support the movement, dog. Keep it up. I can't do it, bro, but we rock with you.
And that's all we said. The Mavericks fan base on Twitter is a super small representation of the actual fan base in the city. Yeah. Because the fan base in Dallas, they're not on Twitter.
No.
They're not. Like, so everyone, if you were being, I grew up in Pleasant Grove, so everyone down there was a fucking Mavericks fan.
Yep.
Through and through. Yep. And if I were to look for all of my friends in Pleasant Grove, if they have a Twitter, only probably 2 of them do. Yeah. So, like, imagine how many fans that are actually Mavs fans that are not on Twitter.
You're not wrong with the Wine and Cheese Club. I mean, when we were at the Hawks game, we made a conscious effort to not do any Fire Nico, any anti-team organization, anything during Mavs possessions or free throws.
Yeah.
But still, we were approached, given warnings, told we'd be thrown out, and the people around us, you know, they're 60, 70, they're leaving in the third quarter, and we're 15 rows back, right behind the Nico tunnel. I rock with
the Wine and Cheese crowd. I love y'all.
I don't.
No, I do.
Nope. See, he's the nice one. He tones me down.
I'm down with some of y'all.
I'm showing up with
I want the rowdy crowd. No, I want the fiery crowd.
Is it Mama Terry? I think it's Mama Terry on Twitter. She rocks with me. She's part of the Wine and Cheese crowd. She's proud of it, and they were season ticket holders for 20-something years, I feel like she said.
Is she rowdy at the games? She cheering, going crazy, active?
I'm sure that... I think she said they cheer for the team when they do good, but I don't think that they're booing when they do bad necessarily. Or
that's a Wine and Cheese crowd.
I'm the type of person, so during that Hawks game, that was after he got in the altercation with Mav security. I was the one provoking us to sit right back in that section because that's the type of person I am. I'm hunting for the beef. I want the smoke, man. Like, and he had to tone me down and be like, "Yo, it's not about that."
So let me.
He's more respectful than y'all give him credit for.
A lot more respectful because
if it was up to me,
yes,
it would have been fucking chaos every time we went together. He's the one that stopped me from getting fucking belligerent. Just to let y'all know,
I will say that the February 10th game that we got kicked out of, we were in the parking garage, and I was pacing back and forth. This was before the game, and I said, yo, man, we got to be strategic and calculated.
Yep.
That's I kept using those words. He was probably sick of hearing it. I gave my man like a 20-minute pep talk in the parking garage, and was just like, we know that Fire Nico chants, we're getting kicked out. We're getting warned and kicked out, and it's going to happen quick. So we can't go in there 10 minutes before the game and start getting stupid. We can't do it in the first quarter. This was February 10th.
Yep.
This was after people got kicked out on February 8th.
Yeah.
Right, the AD game. I didn't go to a game till February 10th, and I knew what was going to happen. Right, I've dealt with these back in the Fire Jason Kidd era and the Fire Mark Cuban era. I understand how they deal with fans and how they're going to deal with me specifically, and it's going to be aggressive and it's going to be swift sometimes down there. I know these guys are trying to do their job, so I knew. So we waited until 2 minutes. We did it during Mavs free throws. And
Shout out after these guys got kicked out. Shout out the legends, the true legends, bro.
Right after these
the
guys,
legends, dude.
Fire Nico.
And I put out a video today which was like, yo,
The legends, man.
These are the Mavs fans that kept it classy.
Yep.
Yeah.
We don't always keep it classy, but these fellas did. God bless them, they're legends.
Shout out.
But, and funny, in my video I said, people will forget about my interaction with Mark Cuban, and they're going to remember this dude on the Jumbotron. And that's okay. That's how the story's going to be written. But if it wasn't for Mark Cuban turning around and telling me and telling us, sit your ass down, the Fire Nico revolution doesn't exist the way that it did.
Yeah.
He
right?
inadvertently
ignited it really for me because they were so aggressive and so out of line with us when they kicked us out that night. And I understand that we were loud and all, but we did a Fire Nico chant during Mavs free throws. I understand Mark Cuban being upset and thinking that's disrespectful, and I understand maybe even other fans, certainly the players, being like, yo, why do it during our free throws? And people didn't understand it then.
20 people joined in on our chant.
Man.
Let's let that be known.
Yeah,
there was plenty of people behind us and in front of us sitting down that joined in on our chant that did not stand up with us, that were supporting us. Let's make that known.
But then when Cuban turns around, and I think I was pointing it. I saw him turn around, and I think we made eye contact before he said anything, and I immediately started pointing at him, like, and maybe I might have even said sit down. It's blurry, maybe around the same time, because it even looks like the first time he said it was he was like, no, you sit down. Which if he said no, you sit down, which means maybe I did say sit down, because he turned around and looked at me and made eye contact, and I stood up. Because I was actually sitting down.
Yeah, I think he like turned around, he stood up, and before he could like stand up, you were like, sit down.
Look, I was doing.
I don't know. It's a blur.
I was doing Fire Nico, like trying to do this to people.
Yeah,
so
we were egging him on.
I was turning around, doing a 360 like this.
I think I got your. I was like, yo, and I fucking smacked you.
as I turn around to look back at the court, you can actually see in somebody else's video where I'm starting to sit down, so I'm like halfway sitting down, and when I see him and we make eye contact and I just point, and that's my Twitter profile.
Oh, is that your PFP?
It's me pointing.
I mean,
That's my profile pic on Twitter.
Mid yell,
pointing at him and saying, "Sit down," right? Like you ain't gonna say shit to me, bro.
You sit down.
And so he did respond and said, "No, you sit down." That moment sparked what happened on Wednesday night. If it wasn't for that moment, I don't know that Wednesday night has the same venom. And call it what you want, bro. As far as attention, clout chasing, that's just how I feel. I feel like that moment meant something, and these guys as well. These guys as well, right? If it wasn't for these guys happening the same night, it got so much attention that they literally changed how they were treating fans the very next game and said, we're not going to kick people out right off the jump for hats or signs as long as they comply within rules. But they only put it out, they made like a very brief statement. Only one news organization put it out. It purposely didn't get pumped. People still were going into the other night like, are they going to kick us out, bro? Are they going to let us in? They didn't realize that, some of the fan base did, but they didn't realize that after we got kicked out with the Mark Cuban incident, the very next game against the Warriors, now that game was electric. He got to sit courtside because of the thing with Cuban. I didn't go until the next night, so there was no chance for negativity that night. Kyrie dropped 42 against the Warriors.
Oh, yeah, I remember
and it was
that.
just, from what he's saying, just electric in the building the whole night. So there was no opportunity there. I don't think there was too many I didn't hear about anybody getting into it with security or trying to do Fire Nico stuff. But I did see the little blurb that came out. And I think it was maybe just CBS that was like, they're not going to put stuff out, kick fans out just right away. They're going to ease up. So I was like, oh shit, they're easing up, huh? All right, bro. We about to turn it up then because now, and I said this at that game against the Heat, I was like, I got these motherfuckers in handcuffs now, bro. They're easing up. Okay, watch about how close we get to the line. That's when I put the duct tape on. After we got kicked out, then the Warriors game, the very next night, Thursday. So Monday we got kicked out. Wednesday, Kyrie drops 42. Thursday, I show up against the Heat with the duct tape on, and it says Fire Nico. I don't have the stickers yet. The stickers aren't on there yet. I think I met dude at the game that night.
Stickers weren't even made yet, were they?
That might be the night that I met dude at the game, and he gave me 200 stickers that night. Might have been at that game, or it might have been the first game after. But as soon as I got it, I put one here, and then like a week later, I put one on the back. But that game, I got off some Fire Mark Cuban stuff, loud and disrespectful, which is cool because I hadn't done that one at a game in a long time. And if you were watching earlier, you heard the story about the first time I did the Fire Mark Cuban. So that game was on the 13th, right? Right before the All-Star break. And first quarter, 6 minutes left. It's a quiet moment. The opposing team's free throw. But I caught that 1 second that you can get something off during a free throw when the other team's doing it. And I just yelled loud and borderline disrespectful. This is my first game back after having the interaction with Cuban. And all that stuff going crazy on the news.
After being told he wasn't invited.
Him going courtside. Cuban telling him that he didn't want to talk to me or have anything to do with me. And then my very first quiet moment at a game back, I got out a Fire Mark Cuban, just loud. Players, staff, look up at me. Mark Cuban just in handcuffs, frozen. Doesn't want to look, bro. Won't budge. And then I got it off maybe one more time during the game, and that's back when I was doing the put in Luka.
Lots of put in Luka chants. we did that one in that Sacramento game. I should say he did the put in Luka chant maybe 5 times.
Well, you could go back on my TikTok and my Twitter. On my TikTok and my Twitter, I think, and find clips of me way back then doing Luka, Luka. So 2 chants, the Fire Nico chant and the Luka chant, went crazy on Wednesday. And it goes all the way back to then. So Mark Cuban kicked off the revolution. Patrick Dumont kept it going with stuff that he said. There was moments where I was just like, dude, nobody rocks with me anymore. Like, nobody likes me. Nobody wants my stickers. Like, nobody's interested in the Fire Nico movement. Like, it's dead, and I'm tired, and I'm just like, it's over.
Wives are getting shitty with us over it. Like,
that's what I said when I was doing stand-up. Right? I was talking about
my wife's done with it too, man.
I was like, a lot of people are over it. And you know who's over it the most is my wife. She is definitely over the Fire Nico revolution. And I even brought her back in the last couple of weeks, bro, which is crazy. Somehow she went from like, she doesn't want to hear anything about it. She doesn't want me to be on the phone in the same room with somebody while I'm talking about it with a friend. Even if I don't do it a lot, because it might sound like I do it a lot, and that's not the case.
My wife, after we went to the Hawks game, I told her that we tried to yell Fire Nico, and she's like, okay, y'all are starting to sound like y'all are just out here for like y'all are just clout shit, like just looking for attention. I'm like, all right, never mind. I'm going to bed, babe.
That's the first time I'm hearing about this, and I've hung out with him and his family, and it hurts a little bit. I'll be honest. Dude.
Well, she's still like, it wasn't even directed at you, like. At that point, I was like, all right, I maybe have talked to you too much about this. Like,
so like people were over it, but like again, something would happen, dude. Somebody would put out a statement. There would just always be something that happened that would just reignite the movement.
And I mean, if you believe in something, like, I'm sorry, like, no matter how mad my wife gets at me, your wife, like, anyone on Twitter, like, if I believe in something, just because someone's telling me I'm wrong or I should shut up, like, I'm sorry, I'm not influenced by everyone else. Like,
I don't believe
living
that.
my own life experience. Like, if y'all can not buy tickets. I'll be the only one in there on that next Laker game that he comes. If no one else buys a ticket, I'll be the only one. I'll be chanting Fire Nico. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it means something to me, and I have no problem dying on that hill.
Right.
I really don't.
Same.
If you don't rock with it, fine. But you getting someone that sticks with what he believes in. Like.
Well, there was ebbs and flows, and like many times almost given up, and then. Back to the mural, Juan, full circle. Juan Velasquez saw my TikTok, and it happened right after the PJ Washington thing. And I thought that he saw me on TikTok because of the PJ video, but I wasn't wearing the hat in the PJ video. It was on the court when I was doing it. He saw another video that didn't even get a lot of views, like one of my earlier videos when I first had the hat. This fool said that he had a dream about a Fire Nico mural, and he'd already been thinking about it, and he was thinking about doing like a Patrick from SpongeBob. He was saying it's a famous meme where there's something and it was going to be Nico's head or something, or like I can't even think of the meme, dude, but he was going to do some kind of thing like that, and he was like he didn't want to paint Nico's face.
Didn't deserve it.
He was like, man, something about painting Nico's face doesn't sit right with me. I want to do something else. So he said couple nights later, he was sleeping and had a dream about the Fire Nico mural, and then woke up. And the dream wasn't specifically, he didn't have like a vision of like seeing me in the dream, but he woke up from having the dream about the Fire Nico mural, went on TikTok, somehow saw my video that it only had a couple hundred likes, and saw the hat, and immediately was like, that's the mural. That's it. I know it. He immediately sent me a message. I talked to him on the phone the next day. And at first, I thought this was going to be a small piece or a part of a bigger Fire Nico mural. But when I found out, this is the dude that just did that Luka mural. He's the guy that did the one in Arlington with the Rangers punching the other dude. He's got some crazy Willie Nelson music ones. He was out in Uvalde with those artists out there after the shooting out there, doing all the art out there. Like he's like a famous local, well-known badass artist from DFW, and for him to see the hat and then reach out to me after for weeks I've been bullshitting with people trying to convince them that this is a one-of-one custom hat. Telling my friends and my family like, this is like one of one, right? I don't know if you're aware of this, dude, but like literally nobody else got this hat, and they're just like, yeah, okay, bro, like nobody wants to hear about that shit anymore. My kids telling me no.
So I'd like to give a little tidbit about the mural and specifically the hat. So the best part about the mural, put the hat on camera real quick. So the tape is over the Mavericks logo. Juan painted the Mavs logo and then covered it up.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think that was the most
dope.
important thing about it, and that meant a lot to Juan
to paint the logo.
To paint the logo and then cover it.
Damn.
Because I feel like that was very important,
like I'm gonna paint over what I just did.
Right, it's not like all these people, the logo, the team, this, that, and the other. Oh, you're not really about the team. It's like, no, it's y'all ruined everything about the team. Y'all burned it. Y'all pissed on the ashes and laughed in our faces about it.
And it's super cool because I was there when they're having that discussion, and he's like, I think I'm just gonna paint it. Like he's asking me my opinion on like different parts of the project, and like we walked around the building to make sure like, this is the best wall to do it on this building. And so like I got to be part of the creative process.
Yeah, that's dope.
Because they got started late on
the day before the
Luka game. Late on Tuesday. So like it was already like late afternoon by the time we got out there. And so they really pushed it. But just being a part of that process, painting the logo and then painting over it. And I got like a time-lapse video, not really time-lapse, but it's like a little TikTok edit where it shows the different parts of him painting the duct tape over it. And it's just so badass. And then when he went back the next day, and ESPN was out there, and ESPN China was out there.
Shout out Mike Rothstein, good dude.
And then when they painted the stickers on it, and then it just went to a whole nother level. It's just beyond what I could ever imagine that. And like I don't know that everybody will ever put the pieces together. I don't know that I'll ever have the platform and that it'll ever reach, like Maybe.
Oh, well, fuck me, right?
So I need to get on a bigger podcast.
You know, fuck your podcast. You only got 5K subscribers.
He's like, where's Jake Kemp?
You know, yeah, like little ass YouTube you got.
What I'm saying is,
where's the dead zone at?
Man, put me on DLLS, man.
In 10 years
Put me on
from
Locked
now,
On. We're slightly at, bro. Get Marcel over here too.
What I'm saying is,
bring Sticks back.
What I'm saying is, in 10 years from now, when people are talking about it, and they're like, "Yo, remember that crazy fan, that dumbass?" Right? Like, I don't know that. No matter how much coverage it could ever get, I don't know that people will ever put together the timeline of me doing the Fire Mark Cuban stuff, to the Fire Jason Kidd stuff, to the Fire Mark Cuban sign on the Jumbotron, all the different stuff, the Fire Jason Kidd shirt. Me literally trying to organize Fire Jason Kidd
You're
Day
the only one
on Twitter, bro.
The movement April 19th or whatever.
I remember those days.
Right? Like, just days. Absolutely insane. And again, that's where I think some people I think that's where Mark Followell blocked me. Luka didn't block me until way after, but the timeline, and even just the most recent timeline, that if you're like, yo, that's the same dude that did Fire Mark Cuban during PJ free throws, or said Fire Nico during PJ free throws, was the dude that got kicked out with the incident with Cuban, and then was the dude that said Fire Nico right in Nico's face.
The dude that was chanting Fire Tim behind Tim McMahon.
Yeah, right. So, like, if you look at my body of work, no, seriously, if you look at my body of work, which is absolutely insane, dude. I put in work like you could not believe. And when you look at the body of work and you look at the timeline, I'll never, I don't think, get like the recognition as far as like, yo, that's crazy. Like, when you talk about my troll game, I said at an NBA game, my troll game needs to be studied as far as the different stuff that I think is very funny and very clever at times. But I don't think I'll ever get the recognition for that body of work. But I also think that when you call me an attention whore and a clout chaser, I don't think you see me going out of my way to try to tell people that they have to connect the dots. And hey, I'm the guy that did the. You don't see me going up to people and introducing myself and being like, "Yo, I don't know if you know, but I'm the Fire Nico guy." You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going out of my way to do that. I'm not forcing people to connect the dots. Do I think that a lot of local media should have covered some of the stuff that was happening with me? 1 billion %. Besides just the news stations running it for the local NBC or whatever. No disrespect to them, but I'm saying, like, local Mavs media, Mavs content creators purposely didn't cover it. And
shout out the few who did, though. Shout out the few who did.
Yeah,
couple did.
But like there was it's.
Hell, I had you on the very night that you got kicked out. I had you on my post game show. I was live that night. I don't know for what. I was
105.3 had me on in the morning. The following day.
I had just got blocked by Shan, and that stopped, and that's why it was a couple days before. It was right after the Luka trade, and they were saying that he posted something about Luka, and I was in my feelings, bro. It was right after the Luka trade, and in Shan's comments, I said I never attack anybody. I never. I didn't really attack Shan. But
we were all in our feels. February.
What I said was, "Oh, now you guys want to cover the Mavs? Yeah. Great." Like, I think that's a legitimate comment to make.
It is. When it comes to the fan, yes.
Okay.
It very much is.
So he definitely.
He got pissed off.
It triggered him when I said that.
Those are things I used to tell him too, and he blocked me a couple years ago because I was telling him that shit.
And it's not like I'm like stalking him and blowing up his comments all the time, being like, "You guys suck. You don't do it." I literally just saw it. Luka had just got traded like a day or two before, and I was pissed, and I was like, "Oh, now these fucking guys want to cover the Mavs." Like, you.
I mean, right? y'all aren't wrong, man. Like, but at the same time, that speaks more to DFW. Sadly,
yeah.
You know, like,
I do want to finish this though.
Sorry, no.
Just real quick, because Shan responded in the comments and said like was shitty with me and was like, "Yo, here's the number to the station, dude, if you want to talk about it, something, whatever," right? So what do? I see it and I'm like, oh shit, they want to talk, bro. I call. They're not answering phones, bro. They're not taking my call. Yeah. They didn't even answer to be like, oh, it's you, right? Mm-hmm. So he's saying that. They really weren't trying to have any type of conversation about it, bro.
Hell no.
And then I got in the comment which was like, bro, y'all won't even answer. And then he was like, oh, you're the Fire Jason Kidd guy. You're the clout chaser, whatever. Mm. And then he blocked me. And now they don't fuck with me over there at all. Won't have me on any of the shows. Nobody reaches out to me. Even, is it G-Bag Nation? They were kind of throwing shade and talking shit a little bit. I think maybe it was Gavin Dawson that at the end, after a couple of the Tim McMahon clips, was like, okay, some of that shit's kind of funny, dude. All right. Like, that's like a pretty good troll game. So all of them don't fuck with me. And I think it all goes back to me just telling Shan, like, oh, now y'all want to cover the Mavs?
All right.
It goes back to that.
Speaking,
105 through the
speaking for the morning show, which I do listen to every day, they did play you yelling in Nico's face, Fire Nico. And they gave you props for it, I will say. So, but
apologize now to 105.
So, speaking,
but they know who I am, and they could easily reach out to me.
100%.
They could easily reach out to me and
100%.
say, "Hey, bro, we would love to have you on, but we can't have you on talking shit, and it can't be something where you guys." And it's like, bro, okay, cool,
100%.
Obviously, I would have been happy to go on and talk about it, but like, they made a very clear effort to not reach out to me, to not actually mention me, right? And it wasn't even until today, I think, was one of the first times where they used my name. And on 105.3 The Fan today, on G-Bag Nation, dude, like, somebody sent me the clip. Immediately when it happened, somebody's like, yo, they were just talking about, they just played 2 of your Tim McMahon clips and were commenting on it and talking about it. And Gavin Dawson at the end was like, okay, it was kind of funny or whatever. So, like, I don't listen to it, but when somebody sends me a clip, I'm like, okay, now I want to hear and see what it says. And it's like, they were still giving me that, like, attention whore.
Yeah, well, that's
like
G-Bag
negative.
Nation.
They were given like a negative response, but at the start of the clip, how do they introduce me? They called me a Tolo. Right? Do we know what a Tolo is? They said, "Oh, Tolo Chris Taylor," and they did give my handle on Twitter, MVPLuka77, several times, and
they do shout out the Twitter handle. So we'll give props on that one.
And said my name, but that's the first time I think that they've even gone that far. I don't remember any other clip that any other person put me on where they ever mentioned my Twitter handle, ever mentioned my name. They never reached out to me and called me. The local media literally shunned me and blackballed me during this entire thing, and they did it on purpose. And at some point, it's like,
over personal beliefs, really.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I can be not likable to some people, certainly people that are going to be on the side of the Mavs and certain things or whatever, and you can have your opinion about the clout chasing and the this and the that and the wine and cheese crowd and all the different things. But, like, at a certain point, it was like, okay, y'all really don't fuck with me. Like, I'm going to start talking a little bit of shit, bro, because, like, this is, and then certainly with the Luka trade and how much they've let Nico off the hook in just a crazy way. He still hasn't talked to the media. Nick from Locked On Mavs was like, yo, yeah, we talked about it. I did a whole show on it. Okay, one time, nobody else is being like, yo, how come Nico still hasn't talked yet? Everybody's like scared.
Only Grant
terrified.
Afseth is still asking.
Shout out Grant.
Salute to Grant Afseth.
Want to be looking ass. No, I'm just kidding. He's not, because that's what Tim McMahon had said about him.
What'd you say about Tim McMahon? Bitch ass.
Tim McMahon's bitch. Hey, if you heard me at the protest, anytime there was like a chant at the protest, and then it would get quiet until somebody thought of another chant, and just like at the games when it's a quiet free throw, I waited for my moments, and I probably did it 7 or 8 times loud. I'd be like,
Tim McMahon a bitch.
Something like that. I think the other part was I would just be like, hey yo, fuck Tim McMahon. I got that off at the protest like 7 or 8 times at quiet moments, loud. Imagine me doing Fire Nico at the game, but doing, hey yo. But like the way I would do it too, I'd pause, hey yo.
to 400 people.
So I had people come up to me later, even Alex Stein when I was on his show, and he was like, you were doing the, hey yo, fuck Tim McMahon. I was like, yeah, that's me, bro.
So what's the breaking news, bro?
Okay, breaking news about the mural. People been asking for merch, dude. People been asking for merch. So I talked to Juan Velasquez today, the artist, and then Mondo as well. Going to be a part of it. He's the other artist that helped with the mural. we're gonna do a limited run of these hats. We got a dude that's making them, some super high quality, where this is all gonna be one piece. So clearly, it's not actual duct tape. Like it's gonna be crazy clean. Dude's gonna let us, pick the hat. I gotta make sure I got a deep one, right? I can't have those little hats. Sometimes you get badass hats and you get them and like they don't fit right, or like they're just kind of like smaller, or like they come up this high instead of like down here, and like you're all the way on the last one or whatever. So like this new era, it's gotta feel this clean.
Yeah.
And it's gotta be crazy. But we're gonna do a limited special edition run of just 100.
Nice.
We're only gonna do 100. And hoping to get them real soon. We're gonna figure out how we're gonna do the 100, and I think we're actually gonna get them numbered to where like it's like super legit limited edition.
100.
We want to do 100, but like it would be pretty sick to just do like 77 of them, and like
Yeah, that's probably the better.
Do I keep number 1 or do I keep 77 or do I just keep this one? And then I was talking to Juan today too about like, it'd be pretty sick if we, like me, you, and Mondo signed like 5 or 10 of them.
Damn.
And like you don't know if you're gonna get it, like like if we send it in the mail or I guess in person, but like almost like a mystery bag type of thing where you got like some secret rares with some signatures on it that would be pretty badass. But trying to come up with something super cool. We're definitely doing the hats. We're definitely doing 100. And let's say it goes crazy and everybody's like, yo, I gotta get that hat. Like that's the sick one. Like I gotta get my hands on it. Then we can do another run after, but they wouldn't be numbered after that. So like the first run of 100, and it's a very good chance that we just do 100. Yeah. And maybe the revolution dies by the time next week when we get the hats. But we got some shirts coming along as well that are going to be part of it, I think. But for sure the hats, and for sure limited edition, for sure numbered. For sure, badass,
signed,
and definitely gonna get some that have some signatures on them.
Nah, that's dope. That's gonna be badass.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to give me a hat.
These guys,
I need number 50. That's what
these guys have an art gallery as well. So we were thinking about doing an event, like have a little something at the art gallery, bro. Have some local art, maybe some music. You know what I'm saying? Like have a little.
I could do a live stream.
We already got a name for it, the Fire Nico Festival.
Ah, nice. Yeah, I'll be there.
And maybe that's where you got to pick up the hat. And we were talking to some people in Deep Ellum too about using their buildings for the mural, but nobody wanted the controversy. Everybody's like, yeah, yes, but no. There was a couple places that we're really close with, but it helped me make a bunch of really cool contacts with some people, the marketing manager from the Deep Ellum Foundation, and some business owners as well. And some things that we might be able to do, some events or do some collabs, where it's almost like I'm doing stuff like me and Juan and Mondo over here trying to do something, you know what I mean? But I just ended up being boots on the ground, like I want to make this happen. They had a spot, but we were looking for some different options, and I made a lot of really cool contacts. So I think we could probably do some sort of Fire Nico festival, some sort of event where it's probably small, right? You know what I'm saying? But like at the art gallery, local art displayed. Maybe that's where you can pick up a hat. Maybe that's where you can see if you can get some signatures or something. Or maybe you got to come to the event to get the signature or whatever. But we're definitely doing the hats, and I'm really excited to try to come up with some creative stuff on how we make them available to people. And probably, once again, I'll overestimate, just like with the stickers, just like with the Fire Nico chants. Like nobody's gonna want a hat, and I'm gonna be sitting on a box of like 50 hats. Like, yo, these fools are crazy, bro. They didn't see the mural, dude. Like they didn't see. Do they watch the news? Can somebody call Meredith at NBC and tell her to run that story again about the hat, bro? Because I got 50 of them at the house. I gotta sell them, dude. But
Mike, please help.
If you're out there and you want a custom. There's only going to be 77 available. I think we're going to pull 23 maybe. And that'll be like the family and friends section, like if we order 100. But I don't think those would be numbered though.
Pull 24 in honor of Kobe. That's what we're about in the Mavs. We love Kobe here.
But then we got to go 77 for Luka. So like if they were numbered, if we had 77.
I feel like you still need some time to figure this out.
Maybe 101. So 24
I would like
for Kobe.
Can you guys please comment in the chat what we should do on the hats, how we should number them, because we got to make some decisions quickly. So I hope this gets edited. I hope you guys comment. Thanks for having me.
This ain't getting edited. This is one straight shot.
I feel.
You're good. You're good.
I feel like it's my fault.
No, you're good. All right, we're down to the last question of the night because I am freezing and I gotta be up in like 7 hours.
I'm just getting
anyway.
started, man. Let's go. Let's go, bro.
Y'all can keep going over here.
This is the old school Midnight Madness crew.
Oh,
right
it
here,
is
bro.
old school Midnight Madness. Dang. That died when Nico traded. But I wanted to end the show off with or the podcast episode
Rambling. Sorry.
with basically we're titling this Life After Luka, basically.
Life After Luka.
So I want each of y'all to answer this question. We'll start with Kiddmuse. Where do we go from here, bro? Or where do you go from here?
I'm calling for a complete overhaul. That is kind of the point I've hit, especially after 2 nights ago. The phrase I keep using is we are between, or an immovable object, or an unstoppable force has met an immovable object. With the ownership being one and the fan base being the other, we've hit a point of no return. You can't be Switzerland anymore. You gotta pick a side. You're either for this one group of people coming into our city that we've all lived here for decades and effectively burning it down overnight, or you're against them. And that's kind of my stance, you know. You're either with us or you're with them. There's no in between, you know. Like, I respect all, I wouldn't say all, but the few media people, you, Grant, Kirk, Bobby from 105.3, calling for their jobs. There is only one way to fix this. It is to fire Nico, fire Jason Kidd. I'm at the point to fire them all. Like, why keep any of them? If y'all knew about it after day one or before day one, like, y'all are still okay with it, and that don't rock with the fans. So all of them got to go. Patrick's got to step down. At this point, I understand Miriam not selling the team, but her dumbass fucking son-in-law should not be in charge. There's no way you should marry into that job.
You know what?
Like, I'm done. Nope. All of them got to go. It's the only way the fans can come back, and I think most of the fans can agree with that. I don't see anyone being okay with it, you know. If you're okay with what they've done, then you're not a true Mavs fan.
What about you? Where do we go from here? Where do you go from here?
What's so tragic about it for the fans is the Kyrie injury. Right? Because, like, let's say Kyrie...
That's where you go from here? The Kyrie injury?
Let's say he didn't get injured. You could have a lot more optimism for next year. But with Kyrie likely to miss maybe the whole season, at least half the season, like, it's hard to look at next year and have optimism that, like, okay, look, yes, this year was tough, but, like, next year we can kind of figure it out and, like, probably be, like, a dangerous team, and we still got a really good squad. So, like, I think it's just going to make it so much harder. Where I go, I don't think I'm going to be at games trying to yell Fire Nico during free throws anymore. I don't think I'm doing chants at the game. If other people are doing chants, I'm going to join in. I'm not going to be at games doing stuff at quiet moments and yelling stuff. Like, I'm not going to carry on the Fire Nico revolution that way. I'll probably still do a bunch of content on Twitter and TikTok, and, like, I'm still going to be very vocal that, like, of course, Nico doesn't need to be here. It would be crazy if we could run everybody out of town and, like, literally make the Adelsons just be like, yo, we're not getting gambling and everybody hates us. Like, we'll literally just sell for whatever we paid for it if somebody wants to give that to us, and we'll just go. Like, that would actually be so insane.
That'd be awesome.
If the fans eventually just ran them out of town, and even sooner than later.
Dallas don't want you.
I don't think there's any chance that Nico or Jason Kidd gets fired before the end of next season at the earliest. Because of the Kyrie injury, I think there's just so many built-in excuses. And clearly Patrick Dumont has been so conned by Nico Harrison and Jason Kidd and Michael Finley in their camp, and just been so completely poisoned that just like they did at the end of 22-23, when they tanked and they just took no responsibility, blamed it on injuries and other things, and said, "Oh, it was a trade, it was this, it was that. We'll be back. And like it's not going to happen next year. So next year, the arena is going to be super empty.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a bunch of games where there's just not a lot of people there. There's not going to be a lot of excitement. I do think if the Mavs started winning and were like really competitive in the West, I think they could bring the fan base back a lot quicker than if they're shitty.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, sadly, when you look at, I mean, bro, Najee Marshall and PJ Washington, God bless them. I'm huge fans of both of them. Max Christie, Spencer, who am I leaving out? Jay Hardy, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford. I'm leaving other people out. Freaking Brandon Williams, guys that are absolute ballers. AD, of course. But like when you don't have Kyrie out there and you're not replacing him, are you really going to be competitive in the West next year?
Yeah.
So you're going to go all summer with people just being still upset. Clearly you're not doing anything this year. So it's going to be really difficult for them to get the fan base back. So I'm going to be on Fire Nico until he's done. That's going to be my mantra. It's going to be the brand. I don't think I'll be as obnoxious about it and as loud and as vocal. I don't think I'll go back to games, honestly, for a long ass time, maybe ever. Like it might be a new arena before you see me at a game.
Yeah, I'm in the same kind of
and
boat.
You might see me at a game though. You might see me at a game next year, but if I'm at a game, I'm going to be there to cheer for the Mavs. I might troll the other team a little bit here and there. Like I don't know if you're aware of this, but earlier this year there was a overrated chant for Cat.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was me, bro. Okay, that was me, dude. We were going so loud and so disrespectful against Trae Young and the Hawks. Like there was no viral videos of it or like nothing surfaced, but like you might see me getting rowdy with another team or just having some fun in the game. But like there's a better chance that I probably won't be at any Mavs games. I don't think I'm watching games and rooting for the team the same way that I did. I don't think I'll ever do that again. I root for the players and kind of in that same weird spot where how do you root for the players but root against the team? How do you watch the Mavs but want all the players to be successful? I don't know, but I feel like I do both when I watch the games. Every time Spencer hits a three, especially when I'm rocking my Spencer Dinwiddie jersey, bro, and I'm trying to do this at the game because I think this is a better way to celebrate the three and nobody does it. But like I want to cheer for Spencer, dude. Like that's my guy. I love Spencer. I love his attitude. I love his game. I want to cheer for Derek Lively and PJ and Najee and all these guys, and I want them to be successful. But like, I mean, I'll be honest. I'm kind of hate watching the final score right now with the Mavs, and I feel like that's probably going to continue. And I feel like it's going to be a long, disappointing, angry summer. And I think that, of course, it's all going to die down. It's never going to be like it was the last 2 months. But I think it's just it's gonna get worse before it gets better, sadly. And I mean, I guess that's good for the Fire Nico brand. But I think Nico and J Kidd are here till at least the end of next year, and maybe even a year after that, which just makes me sick. That's disgusting to think about those guys being here for another 2 years.
Yeah, I don't see how we go anywhere from this. Like, I can't imagine. I don't see a world where PJ Washington and Klay Thompson want to be back next year. Like, why would they?
They might not have a chance, but get traded next year.
I don't see a world in where the second the final buzzer sounds of Game 82 that they don't walk off of that court and immediately text their agent or call them and ask for a trade. Yeah. PJ clear, like, especially after the whole thing with him and him picking a side. Unfortunately, like, we love him as like a player, but he picked his side. Unfortunately, Klay clearly he chose to play with Luka.
Yep.
He could have gone to the Lakers. Those were his two choices.
Yep.
He chose to play with Luka, and then we trade him to the Lakers. Why would he stay here? I wouldn't.
And like, if you're a player, as much as PJ Washington said what he said, and other players were clearly not happy with my behavior. Like, they did not like it. The staff for the Mavs did not like it. The coach
quit.
Hold on. The players, the coaching staff, and all of the staff for the Mavs were all clearly, visibly disgusted and upset with my behavior throughout the last 2 months when I would do the Fire Nico stuff as loud as I would do it and at the times that I would do it during the game. when I yelled "Put in Anthony Davis" the game after he got hurt, loud during the first quarter. So like, I can understand them not being happy with it. It makes sense if you're in their shoes. That it's like, yo, like we didn't do this, and it's sad that they're in that position where they have to deal with it, and Nico, to a large extent, hasn't had to deal with it, hasn't had to deal with that type of uncomfortable feelings where sadly it's we have to do it via the games and in these different spots where I feel bad for the players and for the staff.
And the season ticket reps.
Yeah, and all these people that have had to deal with it, and the people, the security. You think the ushers want to get into it with fans like that?
Shout out head of security. He takes care of you. He'll call
Jason.
you an ambulance if you need one.
Shout out Jason. But like, I don't know. I think I don't think it'll be the same venom that it ever was this last 2 months. But I think a lot of people are out, man. A lot of people, like, there's been a waiting list for season tickets for 2 years. You couldn't get season tickets. You had to give a $200 deposit and get your name on a waiting list and hope that they called you in the summertime. For the last 2 years, it's been like that. And
you needed someone to cancel their tickets to get season tickets.
And now, I promise you that if you're on the wait list, I have very good news for you. Yep. You are going to get a phone call.
You're gonna get
At
called.
a discount, probably.
Probably not.
They went up
probably not a
8%.
discount.
They
went up.
ain't selling those.
They went up 8%. Just a lot of people canceled. The ROI for me is not there. I have to sell a certain amount of games each year. Sometimes it's half the games. I go to half, sell half. Sometimes I go to more, and other times I've gone to less, where I've gone to maybe 15 games during the regular season. But yeah, it's going up. There's just a lot of people that are not going to go. I can't sell my tickets for the same I could with Luka. I don't want to go. I don't feel the same way about going to games if Luka's not there.
Yeah,
and it's like that for a lot of people. So everybody else has to suffer. Mavs content creators are not going to get the same likes and clicks and views, and there's just not the same relevance. And if you turn this team and this market into the fucking Charlotte Hornets,
we are now.
Yep.
You very well could have done that. I hope that's not what happens.
Oh, sorry, the Pelicans, to put it more accurate.
Yeah, like or something like that, where they're just like irrelevant and nobody cares, and it's like it's just whatever, man. And it's sad to see where the Mavs were. Like when we talked earlier about just some of the moments. You look back at the Game 6 vlog against OKC that you did, right? That was Game 6 against OKC.
Yep.
When they closed them out in Dallas, and the Germans were there, and Tobias from Munich, and my other German friend that we met in OKC and drove back with for Game 6. And like, you look at just these incredible, special, what I think we all took for granted.
Oh, that was a special moment.
When we talk about like once in a lifetime moments, to celebrate out in the courtyard after closing out OKC in 6, and to be part of that environment. And for me in particular, who went to all 6 games in that series, and was part of some hostile moments in OKC and some very rewarding moments in Game 2 and Game 5 when asshole Luka showed up and was putting that ass whooping on these boys, right? So like,
shout out to me, who went to the only 2 losses in that series, in OKC and Dallas.
Damn.
Only
And
2
so-
games I went to in the playoffs.
the special moments against Rudy Gobert and against the Clippers, and like that run last year was so magical. And I said this to somebody the other day, is
Man, Chris ain't leaving me nothing.
Hold
Like, where I go next? Like,
Hold
he's
on.
just taking it all. Like, oh, yeah.
just real quick, this last thing I'll say.
You put a microphone in front of him, he can't help it.
I can't do it. I've
Like,
been a
where
part-
do you go from here, TJ? He said it all. Like,
Hold on.
Let's end the show.
This is something else. I've been a part of what I would consider to be some special runs. I was in Southern California, obsessed with the Lakers during the Kobe Shaq era. I was still in Southern California during the Kobe Gasol, and was obsessed with the team at that point as well.
How'd you like that map sweep?
Those runs were very special.
Those great times too, man.
The Mavericks run last year was special on that level to me, even though they didn't win the chip. but to be a part of it through the entire thing and to kind of just have that ripped away. Like, yo, we had that for the next 10 where we were going to have like a rivalry with OKC and probably Boston too. And like, yo, you just keep this squad together. And when you add PJ and you add Najee and you add these pieces, and it's like, yo, the Mavs, we're just going to run that team back. You look at that roster, you went to the finals, yo, just run that shit back.
Yo,
bro.
they struck fear into every other team's eyes for at least the next 8 years.
Yep.
Like, no one wanted to play us. Now everyone's just laughing. Like, how does he win?
I will say this: there was like a lack of accountability and like a lack of, they just wanted to do whatever for Luka. Where like, I think Luka's going to be challenged in a way by JJ Redick and by the staff and by the media and the market out there, where I think you're going to get a better version of Luka. To be completely honest, because I don't think they always got the best. As good as Luka was, I don't think J Kidd was getting the best out of Luka and the best out of the team. Even though they went on the runs and they did the things, I always said up until the Western Conference Finals when I apologized to J Kidd and I apologized for apologizing to him, was like a lot of what they did sometimes felt like it was in spite of J Kidd.
Yeah.
It did, and people would say that, and people would talk shit to you, and it's like, yo, I know he's made some moves, and just because I'm anti-J Kidd doesn't mean he does everything bad. Yeah. There's a certain level of that quiet leadership where he never gets technicals and he's just quiet and you just show up and do your job type of mentality. Stoic, I guess if you want to call it. Pussy, I don't know. There's different words for it.
Soft.
But I don't think they were getting the best out of Luka, and I do feel like JJ Redick and the squad and LeBron in particular are going to be able to challenge Luka in a different way that's going to help elevate his game even more in LA. So again, maybe it was destiny, bro. TGK, do you have any thoughts? Would you like to chime in on the podcast? Because I got a lot more. Dude,
here on Luka MVP TV. It's been a great show. I hope you enjoyed the last 2 hours.
So in 1996,
where me and Kiddmuse got like 10% of the airtime.
Dude, you gotta forcefully interrupt him.
No,
yeah, you do.
Somebody slipped me a gummy earlier, I think, and this is what happens sometimes.
Now, but for me, as far as like where I go from here, shit, I think our people already know, man. I'm already adjusting to not being a Mavs fan. Like here's another thing, like where I don't think people understand. Whenever Luka got traded, I had to deal with that loss in a sense. But then also deal with the loss of the Mavericks as well. So it was like I was actually going through like a breakup in a sense. I did a video called "The Mavericks Are Dead to Me." I had like 12,000 views, went crazy. Then obviously I was live as the trade happened. Stayed on it for 4 hours. We did this for 2 hours. Right. Imagine I'm there for 4 hours just losing my shit.
Yeah, I didn't sleep all night.
And then the next night I did the Death of the Mavericks stream. And the night after that I did the Mavericks funeral.
Yep.
And so in those 4 streams, you literally saw me go from like denial to a couple of stages of grief.
Right.
And where do I go from here? It's just it sucks, bro. For me, I just think following Luka, that's the only thing I can do right now is just to continue following him. And
well, for you, has it not, in a sense, in a weird, twisted way that I don't know if you would reverse if you could, but has it not given you a little bit of a different fan base now, and like has helped with some of the content that you're doing now, covering Luka for the Lakers? Has it been good for you as far as a streamer and kind of giving you a little bit of your passion back?
If you would have saw the stream, which was Midnight Madness on the trade night, I was live for 23 minutes before the trade broke. I was starting to find it again. We talked at that brunch spot.
Like a week before.
A week before we were talking, I was like, man, I'm done with this shit. Like I was to the point where I was just done. Because of all the bullshit that was going on. But I was starting to find it again. I was like, all right, excited for the pre-games, excited for Minute Madness. And I was on Minute Madness, like, my energy was through the roof. And then they're like, oh, here's check Twitter. I checked Twitter, and I'm like, he got hacked.
Yeah.
Shams got hacked. Like, totally in disbelief. And then I was like, well, I would trade my success, my entire fucking channel. I would trade it all to have Luka back.
I would, yeah.
I don't care about my success as me as far as a content creator. I would much rather Luka still be on the Mavericks and them win.
And have that fandom kid inside you still, like, which I think sucks the most being a Mavs fan, and Luka going to the Lakers is like, the Lakers were always the enemy, like in the Finley days, losing in the Western Conference Finals to the Lakers, like, and then going on the win, and then like finally like shutting down their three-peat with the sweep on the road to the title. Like, Luka
was our way to balance the playing field against the juggernaut.
Even the odds.
And now you gave them the juggernaut, juggernaut
for free.
And now you're back to being nothing. And so for me, I'm not a Mavs fan anymore. It died. That, like, bro, I legitimately, I feel like I actually went through heartbreak, a death in the family, like legitimately. And I'm not a Mavs fan no more. That's why you don't see me at games no more. Like, I'll just report on how I feel about how people talk about Luka. But, like, what would it take for me to be a Mavs fan again? Nothing, bro. Like, there's nothing they could do.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing they could do.
Not this group, at least.
No, there's nothing they could do. And that was the hardest part for me initially. Because, like, processing both things at one time, it's not processing the trade and I'm still a fan. No, I'm processing the trade and then also processing losing my childhood favorite team of all time, because the Mavericks were my team. They were my first love, in a sense.
We were the lowly Mavericks.
Yeah, because everybody loved the Cowboys and the Rangers, but, like, my team was the Mavericks. And when that team did something that I don't even recognize them, like, I don't even know who that fucking organization is. That hurt.
It's like your spouse of 20 years cheating on you and you're 21.
Your parents kicked you out the house and traded you for the kid down the street. Like, it's so for me, like, moving forward, like, it's just, I'm gonna cover Luka, and whether my channel's successful of it, cool. But at the end of the day, fuck all that shit. Like, I could throw this all away. I don't care. I much rather have a team that I grew up with still be what it was, and still have Luka on this team.
Yeah, I'd rather Luka be on the Mavs and never win another title for the rest of his career than than 10 Anthony Davis championships. It's not like he'll be around for 10 more years anyways, but those won't mean anything.
We wanted it to either win or fail with Luka Doncic.
Yeah, the city of Dallas doesn't like mercenary championships.
No, like, that's not what we built it.
We're not.
We ride with our guy.
Like,
yeah, whereas, like, I'm thinking, like, okay, I mean, I understand the logic, but, like, 10, like, we're not
here.
Nah, bro.
Not here.
That's why Dirk's one is 5 of anybody
15,
else's.
really.
Yeah,
like,
honestly.
I mean, I wouldn't trade that for all the Lakers or Celtics championships combined.
Yeah, no, that Dirk one is.
I wouldn't.
I do think if the Mavs were to start winning and be, like, super competitive and have, like, a really good team and be, like, third in the West next year,
people gonna support. There's gonna be people that support, but
and I think that's okay.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
I need the city for. I need something for people to root for, but for me, I'm just out. Like, I don't care if you still root for them. That's fine.
I do think the game and the chants for Luka and Luka crying and people crying and the Fire Nico chant and the Luka chants and the whole entire experience and Luka dropping 45. I do think it brought, maybe not closure, but I think it did, like, for some people, bring some closure.
I hope it did.
And as far as being able to, like, okay, I'm never going to get over it, but, like, I can have some sort of moment and, like, breathe, and now it's going to be the off season, and then, like, going to next season, like, okay, Luka's not on the team anymore, and then could reevaluate. I think there's some people that probably said they'll never be a fan again, that might have a long summer and then be like, all right, bro, I've always been a Mavs fan, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think.
Nah.
Dude. I understand the whole don't switch up your energy type of thing, but like, bro, people could change their mind.
Mm-hmm.
People can be like, yo, I was over it, but now I'm like, yo, who am I gonna cheer for, dude? I love basketball. I love the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
Like, all right, man, I'm just gonna cheer for them, and I still hope they fire Nico or the Dumont sell, but like, I'm gonna cheer for the team, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I respect people that are gonna do that, even if it's somebody that said they would never do it again. And they switch up, and then start cheering for the team if they start winning. All right, well, like, I get it. It's sports. I want to cheer for them too. Damn it.
Yeah.
But like, I think a lot of fans are like you though. They're just like, I'm done. I left. Certainly not getting season tickets, but even people that just
finding other hobbies.
And I think that's okay too.
What I'm doing.
If you want,
I found golf because
if you want to watch,
the Stars are doing good.
Yeah, Stars are doing good. Rangers are pretty good. Hopefully the Cowboys turn it around, but.
So you're not a Laker fan, you're a Luka fan.
I'm a Luka fan.
Same here.
My fandom will be decided on the live stream beginning of next season.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like picking your hat like a college.
Yeah, I was about to say my fandom's in free agency.
Yeah, it's free agency.
Like, you know,
I'll
I don't know
pick
if
on
I'll be
live
back with the Mavs. You know, I'm gonna test the market.
I'm gonna have a Mavericks hat, a Lakers hat, and some other hat. You know, like which one do I put on for this season?
Decision,
I'm taking my talents to Utah.
And I'm taking my talents home because I'm shivering like a bitch.
I think the worst part about it is like most people don't realize how big Texas is and how separated it is. Like, I don't know how California people are when it comes to their different teams. I know the Lakers are the Lakers, but like with all the other stuff, but people in Dallas can't root for Houston teams or San Antonio to like we beef it with them more than we do other states.
Yeah.
You know, like there's beef within Texas. Like we can't just go cheer for the Spurs or cheer for the Rockets or cheer for the Texans. Like it just don't work like that here in
like
Texas.
Memphis, right? You think it'd be like, yo, Memphis or like New Orleans, but you're like, New Orleans, you don't want to cheer for the Pelicans. Like, why would you be a Pelicans fan? And then like everybody still just has such contempt for Desmond Bain and how he used to punk Josh Green. You know what I mean? So it's like there's a lot of beef that Dallas fans have with other organizations or other teams that they hate.
All right, man.
All right,
we're not done. We're just getting started. This is
part
part
done.
one.
We're done.
This is part one.
This has been
hope
life after Luka Doncic. Appreciate y'all joining, man. It was a good show.
I told him he should edit it. He should clip
We ain't
some of
editing
this
the damn
stuff.
thing.
No.
This is just straight
One take.
through. One take.
take.
That is all.
off the dome.
I'm clearly off my meds, and I apologize to those of you that had to sit through this.
Appreciate y'all watching, man. Let me know what y'all liked about this episode, and if I don't know, see what if they want us to keep doing this or something. You know what I'm saying? You want to jump in the pool? We can record that too.
No, but this is just a timeout. We're actually Garrett and I
He
are
only
going to
gets
get
in
out
the pool 2 months out.
We're going to get out the karaoke machine here in a minute.
He can't
while
swim in warm water.
TGK's packing up.
All right, buddy.
And we're going to have a karaoke party, and I'm glad that you guys are here for it.
Fire Nico.
Man, let's all get close for the thumbnail. Let's all get close for the thumbnail. You got to look.
Oh yeah, I gotta look up.
Yeah. But you got to look and stay still.
Fire Nico.
All right, there we go.
Tim McMahon's bitch.